The platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club and Wednesday Night Motorsport for you across Facebook and YouTube. Coming to you from the United States of America this time round. Well, actually, what's new, because America seems to be the central hub, the base for much of our Wednesday nights throughout the course of this term. It is the Circuit of the Americas. It's the West Course with the East cut through. We'll explain what the hell we're talking about with regards to that in just a few moments. Adam Lavis has quite rightly alerted me to that before we get underway here. It's merch.tgsrci.com. Toyota 86 action first up, and then we get stuck into Trophi.AI Supercars. Hello, everybody. Zach Cape and Adam Lavis with you. Welcome to Wednesday Night Motorsport across Facebook and YouTube. The Circuit of the Americas. Hang on a sec, folks. I've got to bring the screen back to maximum. There it is. There we go. That's better. I was in the broadcast chat thread, and I had therefore a very shrunken screen. I wasn't able to read what the hell was going on. 5 o'clock in the afternoon local server time. That's where we're at for you. 35 km/h winds, but this is all going to change in a moment because we're going to be lining up on the grid. Oh no, we are lining up on the grid. Excellent. 35 km/h winds. Wow. Okay. In a northwesterly direction. 21 degrees the ambient. 25 on track. Cloudy conditions, but it looks very foggy for 5 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm not entirely sure what the hell's going on there. Hello to you, Adam Lavis. Let's have a look at the grid here for this round of the Toyota 86 Challenge. 23 cars lining up tonight. The points table we'll get to in just a moment as well, if we get time before these cars launch off in anger. It's a 40-minute race here, ladies and gentlemen. There will be compulsory pit stops. Braden Sagassa, Ben Snell, the front row. Good to see Snelly maintaining his presence as the perennial bridesmaid of this series at the moment. Lachlan Purvis, Ryan Jones from 2, Brett Barker, Stephen Lawrence from 3, Chris Henn, Richard King from 4, Guy Leach and Jeff Adams from 5. 6 is Callum Maxwell and Gary Cousins. 7, Russell Gander, Daniel Correa, 8, Hilton Booth and Jordan Pianazola. 9, John Baldwin, Cam Southall. 10, Jolan Hanson and Brett Bradbury. Eduardo Zamora, Stephen Ball, David Baz didn't set a time in qualifying, but they round out the field. And we shall wait and see how they go with that, if they do join the grid. Zamora has done so, but Bull and Baz have not. Revs rise at Kota. Mixed views on this circuit, Adam Lavis, isn't there? But still a good turn-up at Toyotas tonight, and I expect we'll get a good turn-up at the Supercars as well. The numbers have been strong on a Wednesday night. We'll get your thoughts on that in a moment. Stand by for green, ladies and gentlemen. The latest race of the season in the 86s. Let's go! Race 6 of 17 underway. Night 3 of week 4 and turn 2 for you. So Gutser got the jump on Snell. The run towards the first corner. Snell trying to hold off Purvis on the run to 1. Jones, Barker and King through on the inside. Trouble. Jones has been turned around. He cannot take a trick at the moment, this bloke.
Both ejected car seat.
Yeah, sort of reminiscent of that run of ducks that Greg Chappell had in his test career when he was working as the captain back in 81, 82, that summer, I think it was. He had 6 ducks on the trot. Jonesy has not been able to buy luck for 6 races on the trot. And he made mention of that the other night. So it's not like we're speaking out of practice. Back straight, first time. Sagassa, Snell, Purvis, King, Henn, the top 5. You saw Guy Leach jump onto the tow rope there. Brett Barker at the back of the train now as well. Ryan Jones down there with him. They've lost 15 spots apiece, and Guy Leach has lost 12. Whether he'll return to the circuit after that time on the tow rope remains to be seen. Strange, actually. I understand he's got a mechanical black flag. We'll have a look at the replay in just a moment. But, yeah, a bizarre sort of situation there. And Cam Southall's now off the road as well. Almost camouflage with that very bright green machine in the green grass. Didn't look like that bad a hit for Guy Leach. But obviously bad enough to trigger the mechanical meatball, and that he wasn't able to drive away from the scene of the crime. He was immediately onto the tow rope. Track limits will be a talking point here, ladies and gentlemen, because it's very NASCAR-esque. They're very friendly with those runoff areas. Up the main straight we go, across the start-finish line, green lights ablaze. Good crowd on hand in the United States. We're in Austin, Texas. Sagassa, Snell, Purvis, the top 3. Long race, this one, 40 minutes. And the first of these was only a few weeks back, of course, at the Chicago Street Circuit. Then, of course, the boys went to VIR whilst I was underway with the Porsche Invitational commitments. Last week, of course, the Long Beach. Now we're back onto a free-flowing circuit once more. And this is the point of interest, Adam Lavis, a straight line shortcut to link the two sides of the circuit. It is Kota West, but it has that east cut through, and that caught us off guard tonight.
I didn't realise I hadn't updated the cameras for the NASCAR layout where they use the second cut through rather than the first cut through, so no little Mickey Mouse chicane, just a straight, little short straight. So I had to quickly move some cameras around, but we got there with about 5 minutes to spare.
Daniel Criasar's had a moment. He's off the road and struggling to drive away. Now he does from the scene of the crime. Lap 2. I'm in at 54.5 that first lap time. We'll get a better indication of what the in-race pace is going to be this time by the line. Again, it's being set by Braden Sagassa, the perennial entree front runner at the moment. Just didn't hit the mark last week in Formula V, but he's had a great run in the recent past in Formula 3 on Monday night, and of course here in the 86s on a Wednesday night. Jonesy on the comeback trail, hung out to dry, and falls back to 16th. Back onto the main straight, we ride on board with it. Have a look at how much runoff area he's using here as he tries to set himself up for an inside overtake at the end of the main straight, up into that uphill braking area, where they can fan out and sometimes go 2, 3, 4, 5 wide even. Especially off the start. It is a very wide approach to a very tight apex corner. And now the switchback. Jones to 15th. Look at the gaggle of cars in behind them. Southall in between Daniel Criasar and also Jolan Hansen. And Hilton Booth, I should say. Stefan Lawrence. It's good to catch up with him the other night as well. Down the inside. Not yet. He has Chris Henn applying the pressure at the moment. In behind them, Richard King and Jeff Adams. The two subpar racing entries. This championship at the moment, folks, it's an interesting one. Adam Hayne on top. Now, have I mentioned Adam Hayne tonight? No, I have not. So this is a drop round for Adam again, highlighting the hit-miss nature of this circuit. There's a few people that try and avoid it like the plague. Brett Barker, 238, 212 for Richard King, 206 for Braden Sagassa. And in behind that, and that was, of course, coming off a DNF, a non-classified at the Chicago Street Circuit. Jordan Malcolm, on point. I'll give you that. Actually, I read something earlier today that they're actually trying to implement something in the way of track limits by erecting semi-permanent, just spur of the moment tyre barriers in certain parts of the Watkins Glen circuit. Movable tyre bundles. So essentially they'll put them there for this weekend and then they'll go and put them in storage for 12 months. Shane Van Gisbergen has mixed on that. Those that look at it and think, hang on, you're not racing between the lines when you do. Just make up your rules as you go along. We're looking at that thinking, you beauty, this will test them, or it'll cause a big shunt or two, one or two. Looking forward to that on Monday morning, of course, NASCAR Cup action from the land. I love when they go road course racing. Guy Leach has picked up a slowdown. He's back out there at least. He is about to go a lap down though. This is what happened at turn 1. Oh, the shunt from behind and the fact that he drove straight into his teammate Skrill.
Yeah, he's got unlucky with the neck.
Hot matter.
Yeah, the neck code bump with his teammates, what's Briggs mentioned. That's extremely unlucky for Guy Leach.
Jolan Hansen 204, Lockie Purvis 196 and Richard Brookfield 195 made up the top 7 in the standings, and Benny Snell 190 just to finish that point off as well. Folks, Braden Sagassa 206 points, got himself up into 4th spot. That was what happened to Daniel Criasar on replay.
Safe to say he got served there.
Correct. 32 points covers 2nd and 4th at the moment, and I say 2nd because Adam Haynes is going to be seen this week, so we'll go back to where 2nd is on the points table, because all these guys are going to reel in that deficit to Adam Hayne this week, and some of them will pass him. rest of the field is a little bit spread out, though. Ben Snell still putting the pressure on Braden Sagassa at the moment, making him work for it, making him defend his lead. He's slender advantage at the top of the leaderboard, and he'll soon have help here, will Braden Sagassa, from his teammate Lockie Purvis, who, as I said on Monday night, is also due for a clean, good run. Sagassa, Snell, Purvis, Stephen Lawrence, then Chris Henry, the top 5. Then Richard King, Jeff Adams, then Gary Cousins, Jordan Pianozola, and Carl Maxwell, the top 10. But see, track limits, non-existent. Non-existent. Any karting circuit in the country, there's no extra white line. It's kind of like if you have a look at the next time Lockie Purvis comes down the back straight, right, and you compare it to any, city street in the country, the cars are driving in the bicycle lane at the moment. Have a look at them.
It's unbelievable. Some spots are in people's front yards.
In the bus stop. I love it. It's such a contentious topic of discussion, Adam, right? Because there's no consistency circuit to circuit with what constitutes A, a safe pit lane entry, or B, track limits.
The issue is, like, it kind of makes it hard for us league people to use these tracks because it goes against all our rules. Like, iRacing, if NASCAR want to be NASCAR because they're the Cowboys doing the no track limit rules, they should just make it to the NASCAR Coda West, which is the same layout, but with track limits. And then Coda NASCAR West is this one with no limits. So then therefore, you can do the same track map, but actually have limits on or limits off.
Actually enforce track limits, yeah, 100%. Or maybe that is something. Maybe that could be an option that they implement.
In the new URC
whoever's organising the server up. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but that's
give them the discretion to select it or not.
We're talking about it for 2 years though, so we're still waiting on it.
Yeah, true. Danny Snell's gone to the lead in the meanwhile whilst we've been having that discussion. Got up on the inside of Braden Sagassa. Purvis slots into third with the best seat in the house, but look at him. In the bicycle lane, let's go. Down the back straight. Rich is slightly longer, of course, with that runoff, that cut-through section of the circuit. Of course, being one over. One closer to the hairpin at the end of the back straight of the start of the back straight of the Grand Prix configuration. It does slightly extend the track layout in terms of its number of metres / kilometres. Ben Snell, Braden Sagassa, Lachlan Purvis, and Stephen Lawrence, the top 4 here. But Lawrence is in no man's land at the moment. He's got no one to play with. He's got 1.5 seconds on Chris Hen, who has Richard King and Jeff Adams breathing down his throat. Then you go over 7 seconds back to Jordan Pianozola. Jeez. This is not the normal sort of Toyota racing we've come to associate with this sort of car, this category. It's very spread out. It's very elongated. Chris Hen found the track limits.
He found something. I assume that'd be the inside cut at the second last corner. It'd be a bad.
I'd say so. Yeah, they don't tend to worry about when you're driving on the bitumen. There it is. There's the slowdown served, and it's to the advantage of Jeff Adams and Richard King, who both blast on by. Snell leads. He's wide at 1. Very wide at 1. So is Purvis. Hope you'll strap in and enjoy the ride with us tonight, folks, because, again, we come here for the Supercars as 45 Eastern. That race gets underway tomorrow night. Really excited. Formula V, of course, from the Miami International Autodrome, the Formula reconfiguration thereof, and then on to the Nordschleife, the fabulous Green Hell for the latest round of the GSRC Porsche Cup. Looking forward to that immensely.
It's the even shorter version. The Formula E one, I think, still uses some of the longer parts. Yeah, it's just the shortest possible track, I believe.
Oh, for Formula E? For Formula V. Yeah. Because isn't it is it the same loop? Because all I read on the run sheet was MIA loop. Is that the same configuration we use for the Legends?
I think so. Basically, there's a cut through it, exit at turn 3, and also a cut through down the back straight before the last corner.
Yeah, they're the two.
And then the car park cut through, which is the genuine one, the one that was already known about.
And looking forward to that as well.
My guess is that I think they've made this the one that's like the Formula E one, which is just the car park country. That's probably the one they've got to make it a semi-permanent track, because that way they can open the track without having to close any streets down.
Exactly. Down the main straight we go. Look at Brayden Sagassa. Bump drafting there up Benny Snell. Going Robert Snelly. There's the rear view mirror. View for you. Nicely done. Can I just say, by the way, I went shopping yesterday morning, just with the intention of getting myself all sorted. I've got a trip to Warwick on Friday. I thought, yep, I'll dot the I's, I'll cross the T's. I won't have to go to the shops again. I then get wind from a dear lifelong friend of mine who will be my next neurosurgeon if ever I need one, once Dr. Fairhall. The great people at Whittaker's, a chocolate company, for those of you that aren't familiar with their work, go and check them out. They have released a banana caramel flavour. Like, you could not put two better flavours together unless you incorporated honey into the mix as well. And they're 2 for $15 the blocks at the moment at Woolies, and I'm having a piece of that on Friday morning to take it to the hotel room in Warwick. I think that's going to be absolutely fantastic, because I don't eat enough and I don't snack enough, and I think while I sit there and watch the footy on Friday night, that's exactly how I'm going to do it. iRacing just committed suicide on me, says Ryan Jones. Okay. Packet loss. He's gone. Jonesy's elf. Gone. See you later. Wowee. Beep Beep FX reckons he's cleared out his local Woolies. I like it. Yeah, I got wind of that this morning. As soon as I got wind of it, Adam, I was like, that's gone straight on the shopping list.
You know, like, Whittaker's is great. I wish the supermarkets would do a better special, because they never go below 30%. It's never a half price sale on Whittaker's. It's always like a 20 or 30. So it's still a bit pricey. It's way better than the Cadbury's. That's easy.
Jonesy can't take a trick at the moment. Dead set. Like, he's been cleaned up in that many incidents in the recent past. And again, not of his own doing, by his own admission, and with evidence on screen to verify it as well in most cases. And now he's had the internet carpet on him. Fair dinkum. And he won't be on the... I don't think, correct me if I'm wrong, Jonesy, but I don't think you're on the grid for the Vs tomorrow night because you're off to the Bend, yes? In the meantime, have a look at this. This is getting nice and spicy. This is Chris Henn trying to wedge his way back in front of both Richard King and Jeff Adams. He's got by Jeff, but can he get by Richard as well? Let's wait and see. Smooth run so far. Purvis has gone to second on Benny Snell. Benny Snell has not only lost the lead, but lost second as well. Gary Cousins has been passed. What on earth has gone on there? Cousins is now... I have no idea what that was all about. That's a very strange moment for Gary Cousins. He's dropped down to 15th in the running order. Chris Henn and Richard King very close to making contact.
Obviously, some real-world issues made him have a quick reset or something.
Possibly. Or maybe a VR glitch, or screen glitch, something. It's unfortunate for Gaz. He's dropped 3 spots now. More winners than losers inside the top 14 at the moment. +5 for John Baldwin, Cam Southall, and Joel and Hanson. +11 for Eduardo Zamora. +8 for Jordan Pianazzola. Although Zamora's not eligible, I don't think, for the bonus because he didn't qualify. We mentioned that earlier, that he did not qualify. +8 for Jordan Pianazzola. He's in the game for the bonus points there. Up the main straight we go. So Jonesy out, a la packet loss. Brett Barker's been to pit lane and back out in 19th position. Guy Leach is still on pit road and has been for 9 minutes. I'll pay that, Jonesy. Well done, son. I will pay that. If you were on the West configuration, I reckon you'd have more fun. But I don't think you are you? And that's the point. We talk about that circuit. Like, it's a great mecca, and it's great to have a new permanent racing facility in Australian motorsport. And it's attracted a lot of, attention. It's been very good for the South Australian Motor Racing Championships and a few other things to have an extra bit of real estate to work with. But yeah, it's boring as BS if you're not on the West configuration. And we've seen ample evidence of that here on our broadcast alone, let alone what the real world's dished up. There's a reason why the supercars have gone to the West configuration for the Enduro this year. Chris Henn has got himself back ahead of Richard King and Jeff Adams, so that invoice that he paid earlier with the slowdown is now null and void. It's been cleared. Here's Braden Sagassa. Oh, Snelly scraped the wall. And Sagassa down the inside, so this might explain how Lockie Purvis has got himself up into the lead of this thing. Look at this. Purvis will go down the inside here, say thanks very much, Benny, nice to see you. And then he's got by as Stefan Lawrence comes to pit lane as well. Then he's got by Braden Sagassa, the same move the next lap. Beautifully done. Purvis leads in America. Using all the real estate and a little bit more there. And it's funny because we were talking earlier about the track limits here being very NASCAR-esque. Formula One, it's something they clamp down on when they go there in October. But no. Stefan Lawrence out of the pit lane in 4.18 seconds, so that's about the benchmark of what we're looking at with regards to pit times and transits. He comes back out in 11th spot.
This is the thing that's like hard to be around with NASCAR. Is apparently everywhere has no limits, but the slalom section, you definitely got to stay with the track limits for the slalom section. You can't just straight line that. But everywhere else,
no.
Everywhere else, you can do what you want, but you can't straight line that one part. Probably that part you should probably follow the track.
Absolutely. Next week will be week 5, ladies and gentlemen, for these guys. It's a double header on Wednesday night from the Grand Prix of St. Petersburg. Really looking forward to that. And it's a 40-minute hit out for the Toyotas, but it's sprint racing for the supercars. We're back in business next Wednesday night, and that'll be our second one of May. It'll be exciting because it'll be the first time that we've gone and done a broadcast from the St. Petersburg Grand Prix circuit, which means you've got a bit of work ahead of you in the next week, Adam Lavis.
Yeah, and I got to St. Pete and also Barber. I've got to redo Barber because the full rescan, and as annoyingly they've positioned the XY coordinates in a completely different spot, so my old cameras are no useless. So got two tracks to redo at some point, so yeah, it's going to be a few hours of time to spend and get them up to par.
This is very similar to what we saw on Monday night with the addition of Ben Snell, by which I mean Braden Sagassa is just sitting there nipping at the heels of his teammate. He can play the long game. He's played that beautifully the last couple of weeks with Aiden Cale, right? But Purvis is not Aiden Cale, so it'll be interesting to see how that dynamic works. Two teammates, sure, but different personnel. And then, of course, what sort of spanner in the mix will Ben Snell turn out to be? 20 minutes gone, half race distance, 1 minute 46 lap time. So, okay, let's say 145 and be generous with the overtime here. 145 and 2 is 3.5, 3.5 and 2 is 7. 6 times 7 is 42. But that takes us to overtime. So we're not getting any more than 23 laps here, folks. We are on lap 12 at the moment, so that would verify the point. And I would go one step further and even flag the idea that we might only even get 22. Slow down for Richard King. That might cost him a position here to his teammate Jeff Adams. He might even be on the radio to Jeff at the moment saying, go round. You go out and chase Chris Henn. Look at that, 3 completely different lines out of the corner. Adams down the inside. King displaced momentarily. Lap 12 done. And if we can get another, I say lap 12 done, it's about to be. Purvis coming onto the main straight now. And across the line they'll go in 21 minutes and 28 seconds. So that leaves you 18:32 to work with. True. Oh, so you're telling me they're going to get flagged at 31.93 laps or something, are you?
Wouldn't
or
surprise
23
me.
or whatever the number is.
Well, actually, this is a NASCAR layout, so
Correct.
They may just be using the one line, so they might not be using the traditional finish line.
Correct. Everybody else is alert to that as well. It'll be downright embarrassing for them if it's not. We continue on here. It's exciting.
we have to see.
How does it end?
We have to see next lap by, because if a little lap time pops out doesn't pop out before the start line, then we know it's the start line is the finish.
Correct. And that's the point. If we need to keep an eye on that, just so we're aware as well. We don't want to jump the gun and call someone at the line and have them picked at the post.
It's also, it could be a problem for some of these guys, because it is a big distance between the two lines. So if someone crosses the faux finish line, pulls over, they give a bit of a celebrate. Well, see ya.
Yeah.
Bradbury.
Don't cough and splutter. Yeah, exactly. Stefan Lawrence has just cleared a slow down. Right, back to the main straight we come. See, it's only 12.89 there. 12.9 at the first line.
The line's not even painted on the track. They've actually it's not even painted.
Correct.
So, yeah,
correct.
They should realise.
It should be the start-finish line. Bang, there. 13 laps gone. 23.16 leaves 16 3/4. And again, going off that 145, 2 is 3:30, 2 is 7, 2 is 14, 15 3/4, and then another half minute on top of that. But again, bear in mind, pit lane transit, bear in mind the fact that we're not doing 45s, we're doing 46s. So you've got to add all that time as well. I would not be surprised in the slightest if this ends up being 22. Did iRacing implement attack modes like Formula E with all these lines coming all over the place? Attack mode. Thank you, Jordan Malcolm. I was trying to work out the code for that the other night because we had someone taking the Formula E approach to a particular corner looking, because you've always got to go to the outside, don't you? Fire yourself like a cannon through that green power zone, that attack mode zone. They may as well. Can we also point out as well with Formula E, they're off to Monaco this weekend.
I haven't watched Formula E in ages because it reminds me too much of remote control car racing. But so what, they literally got friggin' power up pads on track.
Yeah, it's unbelievable, isn't it?
No.
Sorry, I apologise. Next weekend. Next weekend is Formula E from Monaco, not this weekend. Next weekend. This weekend, of course, is the World Endurance Championship from Spa. Hello, Thorn Weggett. Hopefully see you out on track tomorrow night having a better run than what you did in the grand scheme of things last week in Formula V. 15 minutes to go as they cross the line to complete lap number 14. Again, it is Braden Sagassa nipping at the heels of Lachlan Purvis. Got Snell sitting there third at the moment. About time that Purvis had a bit of luck here. He hasn't been able to truly showcase the pace and potential he brings to the table this year, or this season so far, although that's not his finest moment, because he's just lost the lead to Braden Sagassa, and Ben Snell might want a piece of it around the outside, but he's too far back. Because too often he's been caught up in incidents, he's been caught up in drama, and he hasn't been able to go out there and actually put a result on the board. This is his best chance to do it, and I'm hoping I haven't just put the kids to death on him. 14 and a half minutes to go. Gander and South for the pit lane.
Interesting to see if all three of these guys come in at the same time, or whether they go for split strategies here.
Well, that's exactly right. Will it be monkey see, monkey do, or a bit of zigging and zagging going on? Exactly. They were my thoughts to the word, to the letter. Thorn, very nicely done. It was all going so well, and then it very quickly went up the proverbial. Sagassa, Purvis, Snell, stay with us, Supercars from here. As soon as we're done, we will also update you on how things are going. What kind of lap times are being done? Well, keep an eye on the top left-hand side of the screen here, and you'll get an education in a moment, because as each driver crosses the line, there they are, right there. Actually, Adam Lavis has been able to bring them up early for you. But usually, what happens is, as each driver completes a lap time, it pops up next to their name on the screen there. What kind of lap times are being done? We're in the 46s, low 46s at the moment. Lockie Purvis holds the fastest over the race, 146.024 to this point. Purvis is sitting second now, and Benny Snell third. Up to the top of the hill we go, end of lap 15. It's a very slow lap. It's a long-ish circuit, even though we aren't running the full 5.5 kilometres of it like when Formula One's here. We are running a shortened layout, but it's still a long lap.
Pretty sure, like, just from
In
memory,
time.
I think Formula Ones. I think the Formula Ones will still beat them to the line if they did the full track.
Yeah, absolutely, and by a considerable margin. I don't normally get the chance to do this whilst we're on air, but I'm going to. Circuit of the Americas.
Oh,
Courtesy of Wikipedia, Joel and Hanson. Welcome to the naughty corner of pit lane. Oh, Gary Cousins.
He got away with that. I don't think he got black. He didn't get a black flag. I don't think. He's managed to get away with that.
I mean, for a circuit that doesn't have pit lane that doesn't have track limits, it'd be a bit hypocritical of it to have anything for safe pit entry, wouldn't it? 3.57 for Joel and Hanson, and he gets back out there, but he does so having lost a bit of time, namely the Gary Cousins. Jeff Adams, we're right on board with him chasing Chris Hand. So, Circuit of the Americas, the full layout is 5.513 kilometres, so I had that down packed. The NASCAR circuit, it's only 3.862, so what's that? Just under 3.8 and 5.5, so it's just under 1,700 metres shorter, this circuit. And if you have a look at the lap records and the like around here, I mean, for Formula One, 136.169 for Charles Leclerc during the 2019 US Grand Prix, as Benny Snell gets up into second spot now. And for IndyCar's slower, but they use the long circuit, 148.89. Even an LMP2 car on the long circuit, 147.052. Sorry, LMP1. LMP2, 152.545. Le Mans Hypercar, 152.564. MotoGP, 2 minutes 2.037. So that gives you a bit of an idea as to where we're going. GT3, 203.650. Again, that's all on the long course. Lap records on the NASCAR circuit. LMP3, 129.216, GT3, 132.499, and GT4, 138.903, NASCAR Cup Car, 139.244.
Well, that's misleading because they didn't do it on the course.
No, true, correct, yes. No, they've used... They haven't stuck between the white lines, have they? But yes, that's a quick rundown care of Wikipedia as to where we're at.
Lap record of the NASCAR Cup precinct.
Correct. 145.730 for Ben Snell was the fastest lap of the race last time by, and it's the first time we've seen anyone in the 45s during this race. Purvis was also in the 45s, 145.941. These guys are going to have to discipline themselves between now and next week, because I can't imagine that St. Petersburg is going to let them fly willy-nilly with the track limits, because there will be concrete walls there waiting for them. Chris Hen to pit lane.
Could be slightly strict.
Bound by the parameters, which will be lovely. Snell all over the back of Sagasa like a cheap suit. Inside the final 10 minutes we go. Hold your breath. Again, we're talking 22, 23 laps of racing here. We may get to squeeze in the 23rd. We may not. If I'm a betting man, I'm not even confident enough to call it at this point.
We're going to take probably 25 to 30 seconds off when they cross the line. It's probably going to be the total time loss.
Yep. Adam Hayne at work tonight. That explains his absence. Might make it home to the supercars with a lot of luck, by which he means traffic and traffic lights. Good luck to you, Haney. Go well, mate. We were wondering if it was other commitments or just a lack of love for Coda, but you've answered that question for us. Because there would be others that would say, oh no, Bugger Coda will come back next week.
It may have been
both. It'll be interesting to see. It may have been both. It'll be interesting to see, Adam, actually, how quickly people either do or don't warm to St. Petersburg. Benny Snell leaving it late to peel off left of the pit lane. Sagasa goes on for another lap. Snell and Purvis go in. The field will almost be cleansed by the time that Braden Sagasa comes around next time.
Interesting. So the 1-9 guys split strategy. So you think they try and work together, keep that little bit of slipstream around some of the part of the track, but Braden's going out for another one.
Technically, we should get that 23rd lap.
Oh, just yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
jeez.
They need to talk about reducing the fuel a little bit, just because so it's not so much of a stop and go.
Well, that's exactly right. 1.50 and 1.57, the two stop times there. 1.38 for Jeff Adams, the pick of the bunch so far. 1.43 for Jordan Pianazola, 1.45 for Brett Barker, and 1.97 for Callum Maxwell. Bugger all getting done. Maybe they'll talk about lightening the fuel load for the next round. I should stress we should get that 23rd lap in because we can leverage overtime. So as long as we get back to the start line to start lap 23 by the end of the 40th minute, and by the looks of the numbers I'm crunching at the moment, we will. There's no reason why we shouldn't. Then we will start that final lap because we're already halfway through the 19th lap. 4 laps in 7 minutes, so we're going to have change to start lap 23. And these boys will all be aware of that. Braden Sagasa has 19.7 seconds to play with. And what about Ben Snell? What about this outlap? He's just left Lachlan Purvis behind. Just left him to fend for himself. In comes Sagasa now. Supercars from here as soon as we're done. Tomorrow night, Formula V and Porsche Cup racing for you. From the Nürburgring Nordschleife, hopefully drier for the Porsche Cup this time around than what it was last time. And it wouldn't be hard. Even a light shower would be a lot drier than what they dealt with. That was Noah's Ark type stuff there. Andrew Neal back with me for that one. Matty Schmidtke here with me for the Vs from the MIA. The MIA loop of the Miami International Autodrome, so we're looking forward to that. 4 to go. Braden Sagasa out in front, but look at that. Benny Snell right up around the outside. It's close at turn 1. Sagasa's right there to make Snell work for this. Snell will lead momentarily. Sagasa will try and apply some pressure here. 0.6 the advantage, probably as big as it's been all night for Snell. But Sagasa will get up to speed and go about chasing him down. And that's about the only thing Lockie Purvis is relying on at the moment, is those two to start squabbling for position to invite him back into the fight. Because at the moment, he's a distant third. And I know it might seem a little bit rich to use the word distant, but considering that he was breathing down their neck, literally in the same frame on screen, right up until the pit stop, it is the furthest away he's been from these two all night. And he's led at points as well. Daniel Correa-Sarr, the one of 3 drivers yet to stop. Eduardo Zamora and Brett Bradbury, the other 2. Just the 2 retirements so far. Guy Leach, of course, with that mechanical meatball at 1. And Ryan Jones with the first world country, third world technology type issues that the internet sometimes throw at us here on the platforms of the Gentlemen's Sim Racing Club. So Snell leads, Sagasa second. Look at this. Right, they are just taking the P1SS at the moment with the track limits. Round onto the main straight. And up the hill we go. Sagasa's reeled him in. Sagasa's to the inside. Sagasa then backs out of it. Happy to let Snell lead for the moment. Now he goes for it. It's such a long main straight here that you've got to time your run. To the inside goes Braden Sagasa. To the lead goes Braden Sagasa. And we have 3 laps to go. So 24 was never in the equation, but we will get to 23. It will require a little bit of overtime. Potentially as much as a minute. In fact, such a long lap around here at Coda. Onto the back straight. Snell has 3 more opportunities to have a crack at this. Sagasa, happy with clear air ahead of him, happy to lead the way for the moment, but knows that he cannot afford to make an error. Been pretty good so far. Here comes Snell, wrong side of the road for what he's about to try and attempt. Especially up here at the tight left-hander. Wide goes Sagasa. Snell right into his wheel tracks. Now to the inside. Here comes Benny Snell! Down the inside! Whoa! That came from nowhere. Snell goes to the lead, 2 corners from home, with 2 laps to go, and they get back to the strike. Now he's wide. Here comes Sagasa back down the inside. Back to the lead as they get to the last corner. 2 laps to go. 1-9 versus Digital Durries. Let's get it on at Coda. The 86 challenge with thanks to merch.GSRC.inc. It's a photo at the line. It's Snell getting his nose back in front. 2 to go. Whoa! Hold it, boys, hold it. Probably about a minute and a quarter of overtime coming up here, and Lockie Purvis has caught the pair of them. So Purvis is now back in the equation. Snell, Sagasa, Purvis. The final 2 laps. Here's Jordan Pianazola down the inside for 7th on Richard King. Brett Barker's in this as well. King's lost out in the battle that he was enjoying with Chris Henn and Jeff Adams. They're still squabbling over 5th. And I can't recall a Toyota 86 driver having as lonely a run as what Stephen Lawrence has enjoyed tonight for 4th. He's 3.6 seconds clear of Chris Henn, but he's 10 seconds behind this lot. They're on your screen at the moment. Bradbury, Korea Saar, and Zamora. Zamora and Korea Saar will need to stop next time by the line when they see the white flag. Snell around the outside. Can he hold it? Sure. Why not? Back to the lead he goes. That's tactical with the last lap in mind. Given what we saw earlier, he knows he needs to be on the inside for the start of that long, sweeping, flowing left-hander. Sorry, right-hander. Now the left-hander. The run down to the final corner. He's wide. Here comes Sagasa. Sagasa to the inside. Did he take the lead on the run to the white flag? Snell got a better exit off the corner. Here comes Purvis as well. White flag flies with 30 seconds on the clock at the Circuit of the Americas. And Benny Snell leads it by 1/4 of a second. Sagasa's in there as well. Purvis a bit too far back at the moment, and Snell defending the inside as they get to 1. Here comes Braden. What can Lockie offer up? Can Snelly finally hold on and snag a win in these things? Sagasa down the inside. Into the bike lane and all. There goes Braden Sagasa back to the front.
I'm pretty sure Daniel Korea Saar and this doesn't come up on the registration.
All right, copy that. Because if they haven't, then they're going to get slowed. That's the problem.
I've got entries for them entering and exiting the pit lane. They just haven't registered as a stop. So I'll double check that.
A bit in the last couple of weeks, haven't we? Here comes Snell. Here comes Sagasa. Purvis drives deep. 2 deep to the corner. He's in no man's land at the moment. Sagasa's holding Snell at bay. Here comes Purvis for the run to 2nd. Not yet. Not yet. Snell's right there. Sagasa holds on. 1/4 of a lap to go. Snell to the inside, diving deep to the hairpin. And getting it done. Oh, beautifully done from the South Australian. Here comes Sagasa back down the inside. He's on the wrong side of the road now, Benny Snell. What can he offer up in the drag race in the run to the line? Get your Kodak out, Adam Lavis. I think we've got a photo finish looming here. Sagasa, Snell and Purvis. Great to see Lockie Purvis get a run to the podium. All out wide on the run to the final corner. Sagasa's going to lead us back onto the main straight, but will he lead at the control line? Let's wait and see. Braden Sagasa, he did this last week. He's back in victory lane again in the Toyota 86 Challenge on the platform to the Gentleman Sim Racing Club by 0.12 of a second. 1-9 have done it again. What about that? A 2nd race win this week for Braden Sagasa to go with the 1 in Formula 3 the other night. And Benny Snell got the bridesmaid yet again. Purvis 3rd, Lawrence, Henn, Adams, Pianazola, King, Barker, Maxwell, Zamora, and Gernda make up the top 12. Southall, Korea Saar, Baldwin, Cousins, Hanson, Booth and Bradbury. Oh my goodness. Southall back to the line in 13th. Biggest mover and shaker, Eduardo Zamora, but he's rubbed out because he didn't set a qualifying time, so it'll go to Jordan Pianazola. Plus 9 spots in position number 7. Well done. That's how we like our Toyota 86 racing. Magnificent. Magnificent. The last of the finishes coming through. Bradbury and Hilton Booth. And Joel and Hanson. Hanson in for 17th, Booth 18th, and Bradbury will be the last of the finishers coming into the final corner now and onto the main straight in 19th position. Just the 2 retirements in all of that. Oh, get your hands out and smash them together, ladies and gentlemen. That was scintillating stuff. And you know what? The margin, Adam Lavis, can I direct your attention to pit lane? 1.45 for Braden Sagassa, 1.57 for Benny Snell. Oh God, Brett Bradbury can't buy any. Like, can he? Have a look at that. Crunches the front end on the run to pit lane, does the David Coulthard. 0.12 the margin on pit lane, the difference between first and second in terms of their pit stop time. And what was the margin at the line? 0.12 of a second. Are you bloody kidding me? Jesus. Righto. Purvis and Sagassa are on their way in. Snelly's already here. Benny, when are you going to win one of these things, please?
Oh, mate, what am I supposed to do when it's 2-on-1? No hope there, no, but it was awesome. It was a great race. Braden and Lockie both definitely put in a bit of practice, and they had a lot of pace. And I watched a couple of their laps in the practice session. And went, oh, we could go that wide. All right, let's go. So yeah, it was a fantastic race for those guys. Tried to shake Lockie after the pit stop, but as soon as Braden got in front and dragged him back in, it was just going to be the last couple of laps, have a bit of fun and do a little bit of door banging and a couple of trial runs for the last lap. And yeah, unfortunately for me, I couldn't quite get it done. But yeah, congrats to Braden. Fantastic effort, both him and Lockie.
Yeah, and it was a magnificent drive from you as well, mate. I mean, the three of you barely put a foot wrong. And as you said, a little bit of door rubbing along the way, a little bit of bump drafting as well. But that very clean racing, albeit one of the unavoidable talking points in all of that, and you mentioned it a few moments ago, was just how loose the track limits are here at COTA. We may as well not have the white lines on the edge of the racetrack.
Yeah, pretty much. There's only a couple of spots to pick up at X here, and I found a couple of them during the race just through those S's. It gets a little bit tight, and I definitely clouded the wall after the tyre stack, and that gave me a 2X and a bit of steering damage. So I had to kind of like sit back and wait until the pit stops to really have a crack at it, because I lost a little bit of straight line handling. But no, it was fun. It was interesting trying to figure out where the limits were and how hard you could push. And some of the lines are actually not as fast by running wide, and some weren't. So it was an interesting little excursion tonight, that's for sure.
So all of a sudden now the question lingers: the fast repair, is that where you lost the 0.12 of a second? Was that all the difference?
Yeah, possibly, because none of us took fuel. We had plenty of fuel to get to the end, but yeah, I got in there, got it out. Was happy to crack a little bit of a gap on Lockie. I think he made a mistake coming out of the pits and dropped a little bit of time, but yeah, it was all right. And then yeah, just that fight at the end was good fun.
Brett Bradbury, maybe my first lap with this combo should have been before qualifying. Maybe so, but we understand that time is of the essence, Brett, but at least you just got out there and saw the checkered flag, mate. I'm sure Ryan Jones would happily trade your positions at the moment, considering that he had an internet network issue. Try saying that 5 times fast, Jesus. Benny, I don't think we'll be talking too much about track limits being that much of a difference and an issue next week, because we're back in a concrete canyon. What are your thoughts on St. Pete?
Yeah, I'll buy it and I'll tell you next week.
Question asked, question answered. Very nicely done. We've got a little bit more time here. COTA, why is it such a tough sell, do you reckon? I mean, we've spoken about this in relation to other tracks before, but every time we talk about going to Circuit of the Americas, there's such mixed reviews of the place.
I think the big issue is because there's no landmarks, there's no markers. It's very open and concrete, as you can see from tonight. So I think it just doesn't give you that vibe that you get from like the old school tracks. But I do have to mention, speaking of being short on time, my dinner's on the table, so I've had to go before I get in trouble. But I did want to mention really quickly, this weekend is actually the charity drift event, not on the 30th. So drift for a cause this Mother's Day out at Malala from 10 till 3. Come jump in the passenger seat of a drift car, go for a ride, and it's all to support neuroblastoma.
So that's a third of 30, ladies and gentlemen, the 10th, not the 30th. Courtesy of Benny Snell. We appreciate you clarifying that for us, mate. Good luck with that. And anybody that's able to, after, of course, spoiling mum for Mother's Day, get out to Malala and support Benny and the crew out there, please do so. I'll be out at Morgan Park in Warwick, but we'll check in next week and see how it all went, Benny. I understand that dinner's on the table, mate, but you do realise there's this thing in modern-day society called a microwave, don't you?
Yeah, but the problem is my missus is sitting at the table also eating dinner, and that's what's going to get me in trouble. So, and also, I've been up since 4 a.m, so I'm definitely ready for a nap.
I don't blame you, mate. I'll have a conversation with you regarding the candle being burnt at both ends at a later point in time. I won't hold you up right now. Who do you want to thank?
Always a big shout out to you guys for putting on the broadcast, the gents for putting on the racing, the boys tonight for an absolutely epic battle. That was so much fun racing with the 1-9 boys, so definitely hats off to them, and of course a big thank you to Chloe, who's patiently waiting for me to have some dinner.
Well, she could start without you. She's just more waiting for the conversation to start. So we'll finish talking to you and you can go and talk to her. Well done, good luck, and hopefully you get to have dinner tomorrow night before you jump behind the wheel for the Porsche Cup from the Nürburgring, mate. Go on.
Fingers crossed, that's the plan. Good night, guys.
Oh, he's in fine form on a Wednesday night, is B. Snell. Very nicely done. Hey, Braden, no disrespect to you, but I'm going to go to your teammate first here. Lockie Purvis, about time you had a bloody decent result.
Yeah, I know.
I felt as though it was due.
I think it was, yeah. I decided to put my head down for this one. Did a bit more practice, even with the pit entry, that kind of stuff. So, yeah, it's a good result.
Let's be honest, though, I think your teammate might have actually helped you out a little bit there towards the back end. I mean, it amounted to nothing, but a lap, maybe 2 laps from home, you're 2.5 seconds back and looking like you're consolidating for third. Next minute, they start squabbling, Sagasta and Snell do, and the start of the last lap comes around and you're back on their bumper bar.
Yeah, no comment. Just kidding. No, I made a mistake coming out of pits. I pushed a bit too hard to try and get up to Snelly. So Brandon just did me a solid, really, and I thank you for that.
Oh, I'm sure you would have been thanking him more so had you been able to get away by Ben. But even though you did have a chance to lead it at one point tonight, mate, formidable opposition, very tough to actually get past these guys and keep them behind, isn't it?
Yeah, man, I was just glad I could even keep up with these two. They have some serious pace, man. It was unreal. So I give myself a little bit of credit, but these boys were just, rapid.
Stay with me. I'm going to come back to you in a moment. Braden, we'll bring you in. Congrats on the win, mate. Second race win of the week. Of course, you got second in the round the other night with a race win in Formula 3. So you've got a regular habit here of being able to take the form from Monday night and convert it into a Wednesday night, hopefully restore some order tomorrow night as well after last week at Summit Point. But talk to me about it from your standpoint, not so much in the sense of the way the race played out, but at one point there I compared it to Monday night, only in the sense that there was 2-1-9 entries there, but it's a different dynamic. There's that same level of trust, no doubt, but Lockie performs, I would imagine, and races very differently to the way Aidan Cale does, and yet you guys were going about it eerily similarly to the way that you and Aidan did on Monday night. I thought it was really good to watch.
Yeah, me and Lockie, we've been teammates for quite a while now, and we do a lot of practice and a lot of officials together. So we kind of understand how each other race. So it's really good. Having two rapid teammates to try and keep behind you, they really puts a toll on the brain.
But at the same time, it probably, in many respects, and this is a compliment to your teammates, it probably helps you in the long run, makes you a better performer.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, having such fast teammates, it keeps you on your A game and just pushes you that little bit harder. I think I talked to you a couple of weeks ago about us all being in practice servers, just trying to push each other to find the limits of the track and try and set the fastest lap time possible.
Indeed. Now, you mentioned track limits. Benny Snell very quick to catch on to the fact that you guys were taking the PISS with regards to the track limits here at COTA. As you're allowed to do so, you won't be given that leverage next week, but how much time did you spend just learning the circuit and knowing exactly how far you could stretch it? Because really, it borders on ridiculous, doesn't it? At some points, there, the fact that you can be in no man's land, you can be in the bicycle lane on the highway essentially, and be getting away with it. No consistency circuit to circuit, but that's what makes COTA in the same way that you can compare it to Watkins Glen, because track limits are very much non-existent there as well.
Yeah, that's right. I think it was last night, me and Lockie hopped into a test drive server just to see where we could exploit the limits, and yeah, we found them pretty quickly. It was just trying to maximise the speed through the corners. Very similar to how to drive Miami, especially through that chicane.
Yes, you nailed the chicane the other night. We were still marvelling in that after we got off air. But with regards to this circuit, tough sell, as we were talking to Benny about. But you turn up, you perform on the night, you tick the box, you press on. Must have been nice to get one up on Snelly again as well. I mean, we know now that's back-to-back wins in this series for you, 3 weeks in a row in which you've claimed round honours, 4 race wins on the trot. You're racking up some really good numbers, but Snelly's nipping away. He's getting closer to maybe just being able to pip you, but to work hard and keep him at bay tonight, you must be relieved that you're able to keep the winning run alive.
100%. I know how quick Ben is. I've seen him in Aussie Car and a few other leads in the 86s, and he is very quick in here. So it won't be very long until he snags a win, you know, over pure pace. You know, it's going to happen. I know how quick he is, and you know, and also having a Lockie in my rearview mirror as well. I know he'll be able to snag a win in 86s because he's always on pace. But yeah, it's a lot of fun in this car and around this track.
Fun's the operative word there. I'll bring Lockie back in at this point. It's interesting, isn't it, mate? Because neither of the 2 teammates in here nor Ben were able to cough or slip up at any point tonight, because the consequence wasn't going to be 1 position, it was going to be 2. Such was the evenness of the 3 of you. But I thought it was quite crafty of Ben to openly admit that he was paying very close attention to the way you guys were going about your business, just to try and give himself a little bit of a leg up to avoid, you know, wearing the wrath of iRacing's track limits. He was paying close attention to the way you guys were going about it, just to give himself a bit of an idea with regards to what the track limits were, where they were, and how far you could extract the proverbial.
Yeah, honestly, I was a bit nervous up until today on like if we were pushing it too far or not. In regards to your rules.
Yeah, exactly.
So I guess we just wung it. We went off iRacing's rules, and I guess it worked out. Everybody else was following us towards the end there, so yeah.
And that was a point. So there's 2 things here I want to ask you guys about, specifically in relation to that race, because it was something that Adam and I openly spoke about on the air. Would you like to see down the line, because obviously it does make it hard for leagues to enforce their own racing rules when the iRacing track limits aren't enforced by iRacing themselves, would you like to see an option implemented into iRacing's, you know, race setup procedure in the years ahead, whereby you can tick a box to say track limits on or track limits off?
I think that's a fantastic idea. Just give everybody a good idea of what we can do and what we can't do. At the moment, it's a bit of a grey area with leagues, especially because people base it off the iRacing off tracks, and some people base it off the white line deal. So it's hard to keep track of it all the time. It'd just be good if there was, like, you know, tick a box and you have to stay in the white lines. It's off track if you're not.
Temporary was the word I was looking for there earlier too, by the way, with regards to the barriers that are being put in for this weekend's NASCAR race at Watkins Glen. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm just struggling with word association at the moment for some reason. Braden, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, my teammates in there take the words straight out of my mouth.
They have a habit of doing that, don't
Yeah, yeah, very, great minds think alike, I guess.
they? No. I love it.
Yeah, but yeah, that'd be a great idea. I think the word what he was looking for is transparency.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you, like you said, if tick a box, go over the white line, you're done. If you don't tick the box, you can run whatever limits you want, and if you keep it, off the grass, it's not an off track.
Like, even more than just ticking a box, I think there should be 3 options. There's strict, which is basically white lines. If you have all 4 wheels over the white line, you're done no matter where on the track. Then moderate, which is basically like what it is sort of now for most tracks, where there's some corners where everyone knows you're going to go a bit wide, so it's a bit lenient in some places. But generally speaking, generally speaking, it's mostly the white lines. And then the third option could be NASCAR, which is basically no rules.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
I don't mind that at all, because as Jordan Malcolm so aptly put it earlier, Ryan Jones, some of the off tracks he would have been racking up would have put him in Mexico when the race was in Texas, but it is what it is. Other one, fuel tanks, fuel capacity. Would you like to see that capped a little bit further, hamstrung a little bit further, just to give you guys a little bit of, strategy play to openly think about? Because at the moment, we're seeing you guys literally sit there long enough for it to register that you've stopped and take off again. It's not registering as there's no real requirement to go in there for anything other than it's in the regulations.
I'll take this one, I think. Yeah, 100%. I think it definitely needs to be capped, because, someone could just say, you have the 1 CPS, which is, fine, but if you kind of don't have a reason, it kind of defeats the purpose of a compulsory pit stop. I would definitely like a cap fuel, so you could have more of a strategy run, because if you're at the front, there's no point pitting early because you're just going to get stuck in traffic. So yeah,
Correct.
Definitely a cap fuel tank.
I think it's meant to be. I think tonight there was missed because it was set on 100, so I just think it was not set properly. So I'll have a chat to the series runner and try and get it fixed up.
And the other thing as well, Adam, maybe if it's not a fuel discussion, maybe I don't know what the limitations are, but maybe we impose a compulsory tyre change on a pit stop, and that would obviously enforce everyone to sit there for however long that may take.
In an 86, that's like 40 seconds. That's a bit rough.
Well, if everyone's copying the same invoice, then 40 seconds is 40 seconds, right? I get that it's a bit rough, but
everyone has to get their orange slices ready for the break.
Exactly. I'd be able to walk off the job. It'd be fantastic. All right. I don't think there's much else to really pick apart with regards to tonight. Let's move our attention to next week, boys. Are you like Ben Snell in the sense that you haven't even bothered with St. Petersburg yet, or are you familiar with the layout?
Yeah, it's the same. I didn't know Coda. I don't know St. Petersburg, so we'll see how we go. I'll buy it and we'll do some practice.
Lockie, it's been a very educational season for you so far.
Yeah, a lot of new tracks. I'm just a free official boy, so we'll see how we go.
Oh, I love it. He's learning on the go, ladies and gentlemen. Nothing wrong with that, because it's working for you so far. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Brayden?
Yeah, I don't own St. Petersburg, but I have seen it on IndyCar. So,
Correct.
We know
Yep.
we know the track. Oh, yeah. I think an IndyCar is slightly different to an 86. So we'll see how we go.
You know there's some left turns and some right turns.
Yeah,
What?
correct.
Are you crazy?
Yes.
No way.
Speaking of lefts and rights, they're using the road course at Indianapolis this weekend, the IndyCar Series. You can watch that Sunday morning from 6:30 a.m. on Stan. There's the update. So, Braden, we might keep you here for a moment, because have a look at that, boys. That reads very nicely for the 1-9 stable. 3-16 place, 3-13. Sagassa leads Barker. Brett, of course, only settling for 9th tonight. So a magnificent leg up now for Braden. 4 race wins on the trot, 3 round wins on the trot. 0x, so cleans up with the bonus points. Takes just about the full house available to him tonight. 75 for Brett Barker. So Benny Snell with 96, Lockie Purvis with 93. Snell moves up into 5th. Richard King stays 4th. Lockie's equal on points now with Richard King on 289. And Snelly and Adam Hayne, who was leading the championship but was derailed tonight by work commitments, they're on 286. Just 3 points covers 3rd and 6th in this points race, and 3 points covers 1st and 2nd. She's tied at the top, boys.
Oh yeah, and it really shows just missing one round how much it can affect you.
100%, and you know full too well what a 0 score does to your points tally, because as we saw, it was a non-classified result for you in Chicago, but you bounced back with vengeance ever since.
Yeah, and it's been a hell of a season so far, and I'm just hoping I can continue it on for the rest.
Now, Lockie, can you avoid trouble tomorrow night in Formula V at some point, please?
Okay, yeah, I'll try my best.
I'm just looking, we know you've got the pace, we know you've got the potential, but you can't bag a result there if you try.
Yeah, I got to get my head around the reverse grids, to be honest with you. So I've been doing practice. We'll see how we go.
Looking forward to that immensely. And whilst you are here, Braden, we should remind everybody, we went off air the other night before we got a chance to update you on the point standings in Formula 3. And I want to do this while you're here to let everybody know that you are now on 304 points, and that's with one drop round already burnt. 429 for your teammate Aidan Cale. He won the round 108, played 103, and 91 for Bondi in 3rd place, who I thought was brilliant the other night. 429 plays 326, 321 for Brett Barker. So Guy Leach, Brett Barker, the two teammates there, only 3 points covers them. 4 points back to Alex Tzikis, who was 5th and 11th the other night. Braden on 304. Ryan Jones 275. Again, he's seeing a lot of orange on his score sheet at the moment, none of which will be to his liking. Lockie with a bit of bad luck in race 1, fought back well in race 2. Good recovery, I thought. Up 9 spots, and most positions gained in that race. 266 points. So very nicely done. So that makes for interesting reading there, because you've done a lot of hard work there, Lockie, to claw your way back, and so has Braden. Could 1-9 potentially sweep the podium here in the long run or not?
Yeah, I think I definitely had a rocky start. I'm finding my footing, and then Braden's a little bit more committed to showing up for the races. So we're pushing for it, man. We want to get all 3 that we're doing. So we'll see how we go.
I was going to say, Aidan's biggest threat at the moment is his own teammate, who was brilliant again tonight in the 86s, Braden Sagassa. And of course, Braden just wants to bounce back tomorrow night in the Vs, back into victory lane. Looking forward to the MIA loop there again tomorrow night, boys. Another trip to Miami this week. We're racking up the miles in the United States. Any plans for the next 24 hours beyond preparing for Formula V?
I'll be preparing for the global endurance race for the 6 hours around Spa.
Nice. Anything for you, Lockie, or not?
Nah, just preparing for V's and working, mate.
Very nicely done. Anything else from you, Braden? Because it looked as though you were stopping and starting, and I just jumped in over the top.
No, that's about it. And I think preparing for the Indy 500 as well.
Oh, it's going to be May, yes, of course. Looking forward to that immensely. Hopefully, when we get the GSRC.inc series up and running for this season, it's probably looking like a Term 3 fixture at the moment, because we haven't seen it on either Terms 1 or 2 schedule radar just yet. But hopefully we'll see you guys for the GSRC Indy 500 kilometre when it is run later in the year. Who do you want to thank while you're here, boys?
You go first, Lockie.
Obviously you boys for putting on a great stream as always. The 19 boys, yeah, my family.
Yeah, that's pretty much the same for me. Yeah, you guys always put on an amazing stream. Yeah, you, Zach, Adam, and Matt, and Daniel. I think he does some commentary as well. You guys,
and Andrew and everybody else. Yeah, it's a skeleton staff, mate.
Yeah, but you guys do an amazing job. You know, it's amazing commentary. And yeah, just the 19 Chris as well for making these amazing deliveries, and Lockie and Aiden for putting me to the test and keeping me on my toes.
I like how Lockie's come in and specifically said he wanted to thank his family, and Braden's come in and said, yep, that'll do me too. So he was thanking Lachlan's family twice. I like it. Very nicely done. Boys, thank you. Appreciate your efforts as always. You're always very good with your time with the post-race shows. Go well for the next 24 hours. We'll see you on the grid for Formula V tomorrow night.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Cheers, brother.
There, for the benefit of everybody playing along at home, we didn't get a chance to run by this the other night either, were the finalised results from what was a chaotic round of GT3 AM from Brands Hatch. 98 points apiece, Dane Snad and Sean Benici split the honours for the round, and 77 Matt Schmidtke third. No one in between that. We just don't have a silver medalist because we had a tie for first. 12 points at the top between the two Whiskey Business Racing teammates, Benici and Schmidtke. Paul Wood, 371, Brad Coates, 356, just one clear of Dane Snadden. Jordan Pianazola, 311, and Neil de Bruin, 297, 5 points clear of Joel and Hanson. Thorn Wegg at 262. And Greg heating up 3 spots in the Audi, 241. Very rare that you see an Audi doing anything in GT3 racing these days. So have a look at, he would be absolutely wrapped at the moment, Greg Heaney, with the amount of green and grey on that leaderboard right now. 5 in the top 11, they're going beautifully at Whiskey Business Racing. And when you look at the rest of it, what have we got? Heaney's 241, so that's 173 points, not the maximum strong point, 173 points first to 10th. You've got 5 different manufacturers, 6 different manufacturers in the top 6, plus Audi in 10th. You've got McLaren, you've got Lambo, Merc, Porsche, Ferrari, Aston, and Audi. Quite extraordinary stuff, and not too far away the first of the Fords in 13th as well. So a lot of variety and diversity in that leaderboard at the moment, and we're looking forward to Sandown, their next stop. You will see race 2 from the GT3 Pro Am Split in our broadcast next Monday night, and race 1 from the Am Split as well. Looking forward to that immensely. Have I missed something there based on what Sean Benici's saying there on screen? Aussie Races is third with Paul Wood, but maybe it was the race results he was referring to. Yes, it was. Yeah. The results for the round. Yeah. I was trying to get the context, the reference there, but it's interesting, isn't it? Schmitty didn't net a top 3 all night. He bagged 4th and 12th, and that was enough, based on all the other results and permutations around him, to get third for the round on points. Now, was there any moving and shaking done between splits and servers at that particular point, Adam?
Not this week. There's the correlation between split servers was no good. Again, the pros had the weather conditions, and it made it very hard to do any sort of comparisons. But, I got a few data points, but not enough to do anything to really change results. So next week's Sandown, so that could shake things up there.
Beautiful. All right, speaking of shaking things up, we're going to bolt, we're going to rattle and stir the pot in the cage, and come back in a few moments' time, ladies and gentlemen. Same real estate, different car. Supercars coming up next with thanks to Trophi.AI. It'll be round 4 of their championship as well. Another 40-minute affair to look forward to on the back of a magnificent 3-way fight for honours tonight here in the merch.tgsrci.com Toyota 86 GR Challenge. The GR86 Challenge is proudly brought to you by merch.tgsrci.com, but we do it with thanks to the support of all of the great people scrolling across the top and your bottom of the screen right now, ladies and gentlemen. Flash Graphics, Disruptive Labs, Waste Options, Trophi.AI, merch.tgsrci.com. We're going to a break. Adam and I are back on the other side. We're staying at Coda. We're going racing in the Supercars. It'll be the main course for Wednesday night Motorsport edition, the first one of May, to get us to the midway point of our commitments for week 4 of term 3 for 2026. Hard to believe. Season 25 is almost at its halfway mark. We'll take a break. We'll come back more on the other side. Hope you can stay with us wherever you're tuning in around Australia, live, exclusive and free across Facebook and YouTube. The platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club, Wednesday Night Motorsport for you live, exclusive and free across Facebook and YouTube, wherever you're tuning in around Australia or indeed the world. We are at the Circuit of the Americas in Austin, Texas. Texas, of course, part of the, they've got 4 parts of the United States in terms of time. They've got Eastern, they've got Central, they've got the Mid or Mountain, and they've got Western. So they're in the central part of the United States. But really, we say Central, but we probably mean not quite Eastern. It's the western part of the eastern side of the, you know what I'm trying to say. 3.78 kilometres the distance around here in the United States. Track server time currently 7:16 in the evening. They don't have track lighting here. We found that out before. So I dare say when we tick into race mode, it'll be the next day and a different time. But at the moment, 3.78 kilometres is the real estate we're playing on this evening, and we're looking forward to seeing how it all plays out. Championship points coming into this round. We do have just enough time to work our way through that before we get underway. Blake Fitz, 353 plays. Luke Page, 339. Adam Hayne, 333. Jace Douglas, 316. And Alex Dezikis, 307. Chev 1, 2, 3, 4. No one crying parity just yet. And Alex, the first of the Fords, in 5th. And there are still 4 Fords and 5 Chevs in the top 10 right now. Fitz, of course, took line right on us last week at Long Beach. Let's wait and see how it plays out tonight. He leads the championship by 14 points and then only 6 back to Adam Haynes. So 3 drivers covered by 20 points at the moment. The open split before we get to the grid, and it's a good grid tonight, a full grid of 28. Ryan Barber on top there at the moment, 350 plays. Ross Amor, 336, and Jake Kalman, 309. So 41 points covers the top 3. As far as the top 10 is concerned, it is 5 and 5, Chev and Ford. Greg Heaney sits 4th at the moment, well clear of JD Dent, Martin Lipsky. Adam Lavis hasn't been able to race the last couple of weeks because he's been in here. Nathan Michael, Jeff Adams, and Dale Sharp. I find it quite amusing, actually, Adam. It says a lot about where the dev split's at the moment, the fact that you've been out of the car for the last 2 weeks and you're still in the top 10.
I think it was a good run in that first round. I think I got second overall, so I just had a good run. But so far it's holding up.
It was all over far too abruptly, unfortunately, because now you're in here. 6:15 local server time. That's in the evening, of course. Hello, Queensland. That's what daylight looks like when you observe daylight saving. 16 kilometres an hour. The winds in a southeasterly direction, I should say. 27 kilometres an hour, the ambient. 31 on track, clear conditions, 48% humidity. Let's go. James Scott back on deck. Rick Kuznetsov alongside him on the front row. We've got some real good heavy hitters on the front part of the grid here at the moment. Daniel Yeaman, Sam Blacklock, the second row. Jason Douglas, Noah Kitcher, the third row. Geez, he was impressive last week. Luke Page, Ryan Barber, Blake Fitz, Alex Dezikis, the top 10. Then Craig Bond. And alongside him is Andy Barber on row 6. Nathan Carpenter, Nathan Michael, row 7. Ross Amor and Mitch Wood from 8. Jeff Adams, Austin Edwards from 9. Greg Heaney and JD Dent from 10. Dave Oliver, Eduardo Zamora, Dale Sharp, Jordan Pianazzola, Jake Kalman, Sean Rigby, Richard King, and Adam Hayne make up the field. Hayne, of course, didn't have the time in qualifying. He's joined late in the piece. But at least he had that clear run home and everything fell into his favour for him to be able to join us on the grid tonight. 28 supercars, revving it up on the grid at Coda. We get underway. And Yeaman Morgan down. Kitcher and Blacklock and Douglas swamp on him. And James Scott is side by side with Rick Kuznetsov to turn 1. Douglas gets hung out to drive of the Orbitron Meritrish, Sam Blacklock, and they all rip their way through the first quarter cleanly. Whoa, trouble at 2! Trouble at 2! Douglas and Blacklock have come together. Austin Edwards also showing off the road at the very back. And more trouble now for Ryan Barber in the middle of the field. And it was a risky business entry. It was Luke Page that he was caught up with, and that has championship implications for Pagey. My goodness, the gloves are off early in the United States. Rick Kuznetsov going nicely. Chasing James Scott right now. Terry Marsh again out with out with that foot injury that he mentioned last week. Hopefully he'll be back on deck shortly. The irony that somebody's already sung his praises before even being able to confirm whether he's on the grid or not. He's got a cheer squad even though he's not out on the track. It'll be nice to have him back when he's injury-free. Black flag, Adam Hayne. That's early. Did he jump the start? He was up 14 spots, and that's all going to fall apart very quickly. Well, that was chaotic. It settles down nicely at the front now. James Scott leads Rick Kuznetsov. 1:44.452, the standing lap time here at Coda. In comes Adam Hayne. He'll plummet to the back of the field. Terry Marsh is hoping to be back on the grid next week for St. Petersburg, one of the new venues on the server and on the circus on the Supercar Tour this term. Hayne drops to Stone Motherless last. Good evening to Will Buchanan. That's right, I remember him saying something about commitments preventing him from being on the grid. Chase Douglas, contact Blacklock and Douglas, and that'll be paid back for lap one. Blacklock into Douglas, Blacklock to 5th, Douglas back to 7th, and Fitz up to 6th. Wowee. Yeaman, Blacklock, Fitz, Douglas, Tzikis. Fitzy did say last week, didn't he, Adam, that he wasn't necessarily expecting his heroics of last week and the double victory at Long Beach to stack up so well against the heavyweights like the James Scotts and the Rick Kuznetsovs of the world when they return to the server. But Noah Kitchers arrived with vengeance. He was a standout performer last week, and he's out there trying to stick at the big guns here early on in 3rd spot. Replay, this was young Austin Edwards. Now the contact that happened further back, Marsh and Blacklock, let's have a look at that. That was Luke Page into Ryan Barber, and again, so one turned, it was 50-50, 6 of one, half dozen of the other. Page did the initial carve up and Barber returned serve pretty quickly. 1-and-1 play on, and this was what happened. So this was Blacklock diving down the inside, and Douglas. Page got passed very quickly there by Fitz. Let's have another look. Oh, the contact started well before they got to the corner. Well before. Race control will be having a look at that, no doubt, Adam.
See if I can go back and look at that again.
Adam Hayne back out in 28th position after that drive-through penalty off the start. Let's have another look. So that was forceful on the inside from Blacklock, but that's fair. But then they probably didn't need to go on with it at that point. So when the square up comes, you can tell where that was all stemming from, really. Oh, gee. Oh, no. No further comment on that one, Your Honour. You've all seen it. Have a look at it. Tell us what you think at home. I don't think it'll be race control. They've got a couple of serious incidents to have a look at there. And that was Austin Edwards with another spin. Back to 27th for him now. We pick up Noah Kitcher. Jeez, he's a star. I think, to go back and finish the previous point, Adam, I think Fitzy can be happy with the fact that he's out there in 6th spot at the moment, and the best of the rest, with the exception of Kitcher. So, yes, the Vermilions and the AITX Revolution E-Racing entries and the Logitech Orbit Drop Bear Motorsport entries, they're out there ahead of him, as was to be expected, and not surprising. Right, so they're all out there ahead. That's great. But Fitzy in 6th spot, holding his own, and if he wants to be in championship at the end of the contention at the end of the term, that's all he has to keep doing.
He just needs to keep his eye on the prize and go from there.
There's Greg Heaney, 18th spot at the moment, and he's chasing Dave Oliver. And fending off Sean Rigby as well. Rigby not able to find a way through on the inside. Eduardo Zamora off the road and out of business. And Greg Heaney now off the road and losing a spot. So there's not much in the way of track limits around here, ladies and gentlemen, but certainly plenty of trip up points as we've already seen. Rigby. Oh, jeez. Now he's on the grass. Now he's in no man's land. Back onto the main straight. Eduardo Zamora on the tow rope. We'll find out why that's the case in a few moments' time. Hello, Brooksy. Good to have you tuning in. I wouldn't say there's anything soothing about my voice, though. But I appreciate the kind words. James Scott, Rick Kuznetsov leaders here at the moment. This is what happened to Eduardo Zamora. I'm going to be very interested to get the views. It's much of a muchness that it's all on his own, but there was no contact with the wall. So maybe just pure frustration for Eduardo. Has resulted in the early park up there. He is done. He's exited stage right, and that was Nathan Michael being passed by Ryan Barber for the lead in class. Now, of course, that's a nice recovery from Ryan Barber, considering he's caught up in some garbage there on the opening lap. There will be much more to be said about the Blacklock Douglas incident in due course. And I dare say, I get a feeling that track limit, there'll be a discussion about track limits had within that. When you look at where Douglas was positioned after the move at turn 1 was made by Blacklock. But yeah, there were no holds barred on the return of serve from Blacklock. Let's be perfectly, brutally honest about that. Down under the main straight. Nathan Michael wide. And in behind him is Mitch Wood. Let's go back and pick up Sam Blacklock now. He's got Noah Kitcher for company. Kitcher, the standout performer so far. Yep, clearly the best of the rest. And has arrived and really caught everybody's attention. Oh, contacting. Gone goes Richard King. Made everybody stand up and really take notice of him as Noah Kitcher since he's arrived here on the platforms of GSRC. He's Blacklock chasing Yeaman. Good to see Yeaman's been able to get back out there on the black stuff. He did say to me on Monday night that there was an outside chance that commitments would enable him to go and have a steer at some point this week. That has happened, so that's good to see. James Scott leads. 0.3 of a second to Rick Kuznetsov, Daniel Yeaman, Sam Blacklock, Noah Kitcher, Alex Zickas, then Blake Fitz, Jason Douglas, Andy Barber and Craig Bond. So Bondy's made an alright start to get himself up in the 10th spot in class. Eduardo Zamora the first time of the night. Carpenter, Pianazzola and Edwards with the orange numbers and black plates marking or highlighting or indicating their position, ladies and gentlemen. They will be allocated a serve or a split, Dev or Elite, at some point tonight. Dev split numbers are grey plate, white number, and Elite split, blue plate, white number. Down the main straight, here's Rigby. Straight past the Risky Business Racing entry of Luke Page. Not a good start for Luke Page, let's be abundantly clear about that. Caught up in garbage in the opening lap. It's a long road back to try and go toe-to-toe with Blake Fitz tonight. Adam Hayne recovering from that early penalty, the injury. He sits 13th in class at the moment, then 3rd on the road. Oh, the elbows are out now. Douglas and Fitz. Douglas down the inside. The red mist has descended, and it's a no-holds-barred style of approach from Douglas now. Out in pursuit of Alex Zikas, his teammate. Going well. But yeah, I think there'll be a bit more fire in the belly and a bit more mongrel about the way Chase Douglas drives this race now, based on the events that unfolded on the opening 2 laps. And to a point, Adam, I like it. I mean, you've got to bring that competitive flair with you when you're going toe-to-toe with the heavyweights. And the more there's a line, right? It's good to have a bit of mongrel about you, but you've got to be able to contain yourself.
Yeah, there's a point where it's like you go, like, it clearly goes over a line, so you gotta be just careful to try and, like, if you're gonna get your get back, you can just sort of try and not do it in such an obvious way that you might get the wrath of a race control penalty come your way.
I think there's a couple of them coming post-race tonight anyway. Oh dear. There's Sean Rigby, 11th now in class. He's chasing JD Dent, who's 8th in the open split, or the dev split of this championship at the moment. A big night. Yeah, they're on it again, all right. Fitz now, returning serve. Whoa, contact again! Fitz now gets by. Douglas on the outside. He's on the lights too, he's not happy. He is not happy, and Fitzy's got a couple of blinky bill moments going. Or we do, one of the two. Could be the Northern New South Wales link, could be Fitz's, I'm not sure. Douglas, Barber, Bond and Barber make up 8th, 9th, 10th and 11th behind Fitz and Douglas on the road. Sorry, that would, yeah. Douglas is looking for a way by Fitz. Right here and right now. Already Alex Zikas has got his way by, 1.8 seconds to the good. There's Bondy. We'll check in with the boy from Gun to Guy. Up the hill we go. Chasing. Another solid result. He's really good in the open wheelers the other night. He's wedged in between the 2 Barbers right now. One of them fighting for class position, one of them fighting for outright position right here. And he's in his split now, and Ryan is not, but Ryan soon will be if he keeps up with this pace. Here's Adam Hayne on the comeback. Now, was it a jump start, Adam? Have we been able to confirm that? Don't worry, Terry, the elbows will be out next week as well. Yeah, there it is. Very.
He just forgot to turn the line locker on to start rolling forward, unfortunately.
Absolutely clear as day, evident that he has jumped the gun there. Adam Hayne 12th right now. Greg Heaney, a little trouble. Bit of a lock up there. Barber has got by Bond. So, if nothing else, that'll frustrate Bondy a little bit. We were talking the other night about being mindful of who's in your class, who's racing for position with you and who's not. And we were talking about it in reference to the incident that played out on track last week with Blake Fitz. Strangely enough, no further action was taken on that because Fitzy kept his race win. There was no slap on the knuckles there, obviously.
I think Andy's actually trying to put. Oh, sorry, Ryan. I think Ryan's trying to put a bit of an effort in here to try and get up there with his dad in the elite split, so they can be back in there on the same par with their team points, because they had a good haul of points as teammates. But currently, given that they're in different splits, they've been split up in the teams as well. So they'll be looking to get back to on the same page.
Fair call. In saying that, there's a fair bit of support for young Noah Kitcher in the house. He's running 5th at the moment. Daniel Yeaman is being shadowed by Sam Blacklock. Rick Kuznetsov is shadowing James Scott. They're your 2 battles at the top of the leaderboard right now.
And also, I'm not sure if this is a full-time thing, but Rick's jumped from the 9.5 to the Vermilion by the look.
Yep. Yep, I'm across that. I'm glad that you were able to make that change very quickly into the broadcast there, mate, because I thought that was right. I saw 9.5 and I was like, hang on, has he gone back? No, that was one of their recruitments over the off season. It was the point of some controversy during the opening round of the Logitech G Pro Invitational at Sebring International Raceway. Because there was an incident involving Rick Kuznetsov and Madison Down that was clipped and put out on socials after the fact for the world of social media to discuss. But there he is second at the moment. Just wanted to point out too, yeah, we're talking, I was talking to a couple of guys in GT4 yesterday, as in Monochrome GT4 Challenge Australia, which is on track this weekend at the Bend in South Australia. Part of round 2 of the Shannon Speed series. You can watch it on Fox Sports, of course. I was talking to a couple of boys about this, and it's pertinent here too, because these guys are in the same split. Same when we go racing on a Friday night. Same split, different classes. It'll be frustrating for Bondi being behind Ryan Barber at the moment because he's not in that race. Ryan's happy to lead his split. At the moment is the info, the mail that we're getting here. But what I'm getting at is Bondi will be disappointed because he's not in Ryan's race. He's in Andy's race. And the fact that Ryan and Bondi find themselves 5.95 seconds behind at the moment, is that right? I thought they were a lot closer than that. What's going on there?
The distances out of the splits. Hang on.
Copy. Thank you. There it is. There we go. Thank you. So all that means really, and Ryan has now got by Andy, as we have documented, all that means now for Ryan is that he's got a little bit of a buffer to play with. He's got a teammate there that can play that wall of defence. It'll frustrate Bondi because he'll want to get by in a bid to try and improve his overall position in his class, not just the overall who sees the checkered flag first, second, third, etc. So it is an interesting one because that'll help because Andy's going to pit lane, so that'll release Bondi. He can go out in pursuit of Ryan and try and get ahead of him on track again. But Andy has come to pit lane. It's interesting, because you've got to be so careful how you go about it because yes, you're sharing the track with those guys. But if you get into a squabble with them, it impacts their race, it impacts your race. But it defeats the purpose. There's no point, if you can avoid it, avoid getting into a squabble with them because you're not vying for the same race position, you're not vying for the same points, etc. and so forth. And in the end, you end up hurting two different championships and two different competitors if you do get caught up in garbage. So you've got to be mindful of that. Because you've got to minimise the risk involved in trying to execute an overtaking opportunity on the guys, especially that aren't in your class. Because you would hate for that to be your Achilles heel. You would hate for that to be, someone that's not in your fight contributing to you wearing the raffle race control at the end of the night. Quick shout out while I'm thinking of it as well. I saw a Facebook post from his girlfriend earlier in the day. Happy birthday to someone that you know very well, and a valued member of the club. We haven't seen him around too much of late. He's been busy. One T. Lavis, Trent Lavis, Chris Whitaker's doormate from way back when. Very happy birthday to Trent. Hopefully he's had a good one, and we'll hopefully catch up with him here on the platforms of the GSRC at some point. Might have to try and twist his arm and get him to have a run in Formula V again, Adam.
Yeah, he was. We had dinner last night, and he was saying he's missing the sim. He wishes he could get in there more often, and just unfortunately the fancy job he's got just takes a lot of his time, so he keeps not quite getting the time for it. But he's keen to get back in at some point.
There's Daniel Yeaman in third now. Under pressure still from Sam Blacklock. Pit lane activity alive and well. You got Nathan Michael and Dave Oliver in. We previously had Jason Douglas and Andy Barber in on laps 12 and 11 respectively. On lap 7 for Luke Page, on lap 9 for Dale Sharp. Sharpie the last of the runners at the moment, but there's a lot of moving and shaking to be done in that order yet because we're only on lap 13 of past half race distance in terms of time.
It's very likely we'll see these guys come into the pits before they actually run out of fuel, because even the leaders at the moment, they're 1.7 seconds slower than their peak times with the tyre peak.
And I'm just trying to crunch the numbers here as well, Adam. So I'm thinking 24 laps for these guys, based purely on the fact that the time has dropped off significantly now as the tyres have worn, plus the pit lane transit time, etc., etc. James Scott has only just started lap 14. He's going through turn 1 at the moment. These guys are 8 seconds down the road. Now turn 2. There he is. But we're looking at that 1 minute 38.048. Last time around 1 minute 39.13. 1 minute 40 is the easiest number to round up with. 1 minute 43.25. 5 and 2 is 10. 6 times 4. Sorry, 6 times 6 is 24. And 4 times 10 is 40. So 40 minutes, 6 laps in 10 minutes. 6 times 4 to give you your 40 minutes is 24 laps. And that will obviously, hopefully, also incorporate pit lane transit time as well, and the stop time, which we're seeing is around about that 9-10 second marker. So a lot longer transit than what you're seeing in the 86s earlier in the night, or what you saw in the 86s earlier in the night, I should say. Geez, that's terrible English on my part. Someone would think it was my second language. And gibberish was the first.
Interesting. Andy must have made a mistake in his yellow because he hasn't been able to undercut his son. So that's big time.
And Nathan Carpenter and Adam Hayne have been on the pit lane for an exorbitantly long amount of time as well, 20 and 18 seconds respectively. So that adds insult to injury for Adam Hayne, unfortunately. Alex Tzikis now under pressure from Blake Fitz. Top 9 yet to stop. Jeff Adams now inherits the lead of the dev split momentarily. Most of the field has now stopped. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 9 is 13. So 15 of the field has stopped. We've still only got the one retirement. That was Eduardo Zamora. Austin Edwards is currently sitting a lap down. But again, he has completed his stop. In comes Alex Tzikis. 23.5 minutes gone. And James Scott leading the way quite comfortably. 1 second on Rick Kuznetsov. Yeaman has been caught by Blacklock. To see Yeaman out there having a steer. And Blacklock obviously not a full-time campaigner either. There won't be any necessary team orders evoked here, I wouldn't imagine. These guys will be allowed to race hard and race to the end. But pit lane could be a determining factor, Adam.
Yeah, I just noticed too, their Mustang paint, the spec player has left the yellow. They've had a little glitch there with their paint.
I don't mind that. The more yellow, the better.
What's I think Yeaman's is how it's meant to be. I think the Mustangs they haven't deleted the yellow from the chromey bit of the purple spec layer, so it's got the same metal effect to it, which is why it's darker sort of brownier yellow.
Good scrap going on here. Terry Marsh asking, would it be hard to implement lower fuel percentage, but one compulsory pit stop where we are required to stop 2 times, shake it up a bit? Just thinking out loud, don't hate me. Well, Terry, that's why we do 2 compulsory pit stops in the 60-minute race. For a 40-minute race, I think, I don't know about you, Adam, but I think 2 stops would be one too many. I mean, certainly from a strategic standpoint and from shaking it up, but you run the risk of over-regulating things if you do that.
Yeah. I think at the moment, like the 40-minute race, the one stop, because it's just long enough race where the tyre deg is a factor, where it'd be a little bit less effective if we had 2 stops there. So it kind of it brings that tyre strategy in where do you undercut or do you overcut, which is going to work better for you for this particular race. Because the undercut gets you that instant gain, but then for the other guys, the overcut, and they've got the residual gain for the remainder of the race to come back and attack you. So certain tracks play better to one or the other.
Ford, Chev at the moment. Top 4 yet to stop, so too Bondi, so too JD Dent, so too Jordan Pianazzola. Everybody else has transited the lane. Nathan Michael has Ross Amor, Jordan Pianazzola and Luke Page for company. In comes Blake Fitz. And James Scott's advantage is now out beyond 10 seconds. Blacklock has caught Yeaman. Michael sits 14th. Best place to open split competitor at the moment. Surprise, surprise. Hello, Ryan Barber.
The scary...
And back out there in 11th.
The scary thing with James, though, is his current pace on his 30-minute worn tyres is as good as Yeaman and Blacklock's best lap, and Blacklock's a previous champion.
Yeah, I know. But by their own admission, everybody acknowledged just what a weapon, what a gun performer James Scott is when he arrived and started to flex his muscle on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club, and it's great to have him here. But yeah, it's a bit of a reality check, isn't it? It's a bit of a slap around. A reminder that there's still ground to be found, room to be improved. 17 laps in the books this time via the line. We're thinking 7 laps to go, plus that pit lane transit. You may, and I stress may, be able to squeeze in a 25th lap, leveraging just about all the overtime available to us here.
This section would be a real struggle on these things, because they're very prone to understeer. That's the last thing you want through that slalom section.
Goats. Yep, I agree. So, here's Page, 16. Chasing Pianazzola. Yeah, the more I'm looking at it, the more I'm thinking that because of the pace of James Scott and Rick Kuznetsov, no one else, they may just take this to 25 laps. Fastest lap of the race, Rick Kuznetsov, 1:37.991. Holy cow! What a number! That's insane. And also the number to watch there with Rick Kuznetsov is 28 seconds. That's the difference between him and James Scott at the moment. Pagey down the inside. Can he get through? Yes. Oh, and he gets a tap for his work, for his efforts. On the way through there from Jordan Pianazzola. And in behind them is Jeff Adams. Back to the control line they come. Just let's keep an eye on Rick. Absolutely it was. Be up and under.
Couldn't quite get it off. So he's going for the side draft though, trying to get there.
He'll be good under brakes. Under brakes, I think he's good.
He wasn't quite close off the side draft, but he should be able to, game position. There we go. Job done.
Nicely done. Martin, interesting point that. I'll be interested to get Yeaman's thoughts on this at the end of the race. He's into pit lane now, so too Sam Blacklock. James Scott comes across the line with 10 minutes and 6 seconds on the clock. I take back my previous comment. I don't think we now get anything more than 24. I was more worried about where they get to with regards to the control line. And Rick Kuznetsov's not going to get there. I'm keeping an eye on Rick Kuznetsov because he's the first of those two have stopped. He's crossing the control line now, 20 seconds past that 10-minute threshold. No, we're good. 6 laps and 24. I'm glad the calculator got it right the first time. Scott and Kuznetsov. That was an interesting point about Dan Yeaman because you and I know him reasonably well enough, Adam. I mean, he's one of our own. He's part of the broadcast crew.
Bondi, that.
Bondi! He still hasn't stopped. That's the problem. He's getting involved in a race with the Logitech Orbit drop bear stable, and he doesn't need to. Have a look at this. Blacklock fires it down the inside.
Not only does he not need
Nicely
to,
done.
not only does he not need to, he definitely hasn't got the tyres for it.
No, absolutely not. Stay in your lane, young man. Don't get carved up the way Jason Douglas did earlier in the night. Oh, sorry, did I say that out loud? So, I'll go back to the point about Yeoman. We both know that, yes, when there's open wheelers on and Yeoman can get out there and have a steer, he's an absolute weapon. We saw that with the success in the Super Formula Lights, the wins and slicks. Last term, he's a GSRC Indy 500k winner, and the list goes on. But take nothing away from him. He's a pretty solid operator, pretty versatile, and no matter what he puts his mind to with regards to these race cars. Hello, Sammy Cullen, who got some amusement out of that last remark from me. But yeah, Yeoman's one of those. He's one of those versatile performers. The problem is that he doesn't get a chance to showcase his craft as often as he'd probably like because he's too busy doing what we do.
And James is pretty wrong here. He's running the tank dry, so he's going to put fresh tyres on and basically do quality laps at the end of the race here. He's going to have next to no tank, no fuel in the tank, and go out there and do some hot lapping.
And still doing it with a 28-second advantage. Like, it's insanity. So that 137.991 of Rick Kuznetsov might be under threat by James Scott at the end of the race here. Out comes Craig Bond, 4.63 seconds. But yeah, and that's the thing. We saw that last week as well at Long Beach. Those that were on pit stops, those that still had to do them. You know, it's a double-edged sword. Getting involved in guys that are on different strategy, knowing that you're actually not really part of their equation. Oh, Jackson Seafoam found out all about that last week. Geez, there have been some big hits this season so far. And it's only week 4. And it was 2/8 last week for Jackson in the Dev split, and he's not out on track this week either. So Scott leads by 28 seconds. He started lap 21. We expect 24. Although James could actually, if he wanted to do a chapo on us, he could stitch us up and potentially send everybody to overtime anyway.
Well, it depends if there's enough fuel to get there. But...
yeah, I wouldn't imagine there is. If he's not in this time by, though, we'd start having that conversation. Because he's definitely going to get back to the line before the 5-minute warning sign comes up. Sean Rigby, 18th. Has got past Adam Hayne. Under pressure from Hayne at the moment. The HCS Racing entry there. Sitting all over the back of him like a cheap suit. Can someone remind James to be... well, if he's got one ear on the broadcast, he'll have just got that reminder. Jordan Pianazola does that just now. Leaving just James Scott to pit to cleanse this field. And there'll be a couple of people happy to see him pit, quite frankly, because it's not this time by either. There's 5 minutes, 10 seconds to go, and Scotty's just started what we think will be the third last lap. But if he can get this tank any closer to the end of the race, the last lap board might not fly at the start of lap 24 as it otherwise should, based on where Rick Kuznetsov and Cole are on track at the moment. Surely he can't get a 23rd lap out of this. It's an impressive effort just to get 35 minutes to get so far into the race. It's a 40-minute race, the CPS windows and all that sort of stuff. There's no need to burn the tank that dry, but they are race car drivers at the end of the day. Blacklock, all over the back of Yeoman at the moment. Up the main straight we go. It's rare that you pick them up around here. We discussed that earlier. Noah Kitcher sits 5th. He's 4 seconds to the good on Jason Douglas. And Douglas has teammate Tzikis behind him, and Blake Fitz as well. is there a CPS or can he stay out till the end? There is a compulsory pit stop obligation. There's no window for it. So as long as he pits somewhere within the race that isn't on the actual last lap as you're about to take the checkered flag, because that's a no-no from I rankings and not ours,
He needs to pit,
then you're good.
He needs to pit before taking the white flag.
So essentially, he could pit as late as lap 23 if he wants to. He could even pit lap 24, because if he keeps going at this pace, we go to 25, because he would take the last lap board before that time stipulation of there being only a lap left in the race kicks in before we get to that 1 minute 40 threshold. So if he gets to pit lane before 38 minutes and 20 seconds, it's going to count. He's just started his 23rd lap. You know what's going to happen here, don't you? He's just started lap 23.
We might see some chugga-lugging.
We might see some chugga-lugging. Because Adam, if he seriously, this is the point. If he doesn't go to pit lane this time by, the white flag ain't going to fly this time by. Now, for everybody else, Rick Kuznetsov, Daniel Yeaman, Sam Blacklock, they're thinking white flag next time by, which if they're the ones that see the white flag, it will be. But if James Scott could actually get a 24th lap out of this tank, the race will go 25 laps, because lap 25 will happen in overtime. Because he'll get to the control line at 38.20, at 38.10, and he'll be on pit lane by 39.50, and the white flag will fly after the 40-minute threshold. We've seen this before. So keep an eye on James Scott. It's insipid. Hopefully you can see messages. Well, if he can get a 24th lap out of this tank, and here he comes, we're going to 25. We're literally going to 25 laps. He's going to need. He's now just insured, because there's a minute 50 to go. 10 seconds more, and this race is seeing the white flag this time by. But because he's just gone by the line now, when he comes to pit lane, everybody else is going to see white, and now there's going to be some serious questions asked by everybody up and down this line as to whether or not they've got 25 laps of fuel. Because their calculations would have been surely, if they were right, that this was going to be a 24-lap race, including the pit stop, for 40 minutes. But now we're going to do we're going to do somewhere in the realm of 41 and a half to 42 minutes of racing, which is good for us, because we'll take more value for money, right? No complaints here. But it is going to raise some eyebrows, and whether or not these guys are going to be able to chug-a-lug their way home. So hopefully James Scott is aware of the fact that he does need to complete a pit stop right now, because if he doesn't, that race win. What's the penalty? Oh, it fits on the inside of Tzikis to turn one. They're wide at one. Fitz will get the job done. Alex isn't going to take that line down, surely. Back down the inside at two. The elbows, the gloves, they've been off and out tonight. My goodness. The bouts are happening right throughout the field.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. What's the penalty? Okay. Now we have a different question. White flag flies. What's the penalty these days?
It's a baseline 45 seconds, and then scales up or down depending on the track. I would assume it'd still be 45 seconds.
So James Scott is going to finish fourth tonight. Rick Kuznetsov is going to inherit the win. And everybody's now got to get to lap 25. And this is the point, right? So James Scott's going to come home in about 41 and a half. Rick Kuznetsov just seen the white flag now. It's nearly going to be a 42-minute ride. And there is more drama. Tzikis is around.
Yeah, like pushing around there.
And that had been brewing for a while. Here we go, final time. And James Scott's going to see the checkered flag, but he's about to grab an unwelcome invoice. He's about to receive a nasty surprise in the mail. Last turn, checkered flag flies, but this guy's not going to be recording the race win here, ladies and gentlemen. First across the strike, but without recording a pit stop. James Scott. First across the strike at Coda, but Rick Kuznetsov is going to be your race winner. The old stipulations of rules and regs. Fighting James Scott on the backside this time round. Main straight, checkered flag, solid drive from Rick Kuznetsov. Nothing wrong with that over the course of 41 minutes and 55 seconds. Rick Kuznetsov victorious in a 25-lapper and one that went into overtime, well and truly. Third to Daniel Yeaman, held off Sam Blacklock. He'll be delighted with that. Blacklock maybe not so much. Pretty impressive fuel saving though, agreed to the settlement there from Will Buchanan. Ryan Barber's going to grab Dev Split honours, and possibly with an invitation coming his way to the Elite Split.
Just ahead of me, I think. Alex either readdressed or had a mistake on the last, like he's back behind Alex again.
He is. And now what about the drag race and the run to the line? Can Zizikas hold on here against Fitz? The answer is yes. Here they go to the strike. Oh dear. Dear, oh dear. That's on Brooksy apparently. He's not there to spot for James. It is what it is. Unlucky boys. Luke Page 11th. And in comes Jeff Adams to have a chat with us post-race here. That's Luke Page across the line, in behind Nathan Michael. Different splits, of course, for those guys. Well done to Nathan Michael, behind Mitch Wood. A podium finishing class for Nathan Michael. So Kuznetsov, Yeaman, Blacklock will be your top three in this series in the Elite Split. And the Dev Split is going to go the way of Barber ahead of Wood and Michael. Barber probably staring down an invitation to the Elite Split before the end of the night, however. Have a look at him. He was 21 seconds clear of Mitch Wood in the end. My goodness. And that was with the spin early in the piece as well. A determined fight-back drive from Ryan Barber there in all of that. James Scott, yes, it says that he's the winner by 27 seconds, but he did not complete a compulsory pit stop. So 45 seconds worth of invoice coming his way, and that will drop him well down the order to position number 4. Noah Kitcher was impressive, best of the rest in fifth spot, which on a Pro Series week that'd be enough to give him the W. And Jace Douglas, and again, you know, that is only 20 seconds actually off the podium, well, what are we, 30 seconds off Rick Kuznetsov, because he becomes the new benchmark with regards to time margins based on the fact that James did not report to pit lane. So that's unfortunate. Terry Marsh acknowledging that he's got a bit of work to do on the pace front with regards to all of that. We've got Jeff Adams here. I'm just having a look down the order. 5th in class for Jeff tonight in the Dev Split, and 17th outright. And all in all, we had 28 start. We had 27 come home. A couple of those were a lap down in the end, Adam Lavis, but solid effort from everybody else. So I thought, all things considered, bit of drama off the top here from the outset. We're going to relive some of that now. But I don't know what all the moaning and whinging and you know what's about. I think Coda throws up some good racing, this configuration anyway.
Yeah, indeed. It's not too bad for these cars. I'm not sure. Let's talk to the guys, see how much what it was like to drive a big burly V8 around here. But yeah, it was quite a decent night of racing.
Not bad at all. Bondi, welcome to you, and Jeff Adams here as well. Bondi, I was a bit worried there for a moment. You're trying to pick fights with the Logitech Orbit Drop Bear stable. That already completed their pit stop.
Yeah, well, that was when I came out of the pits, I think. No, yeah, it
No,
wasn't.
it's just before.
I don't even know what I'm doing. Yeah,
Correct.
yeah, and I just let them go. Once I saw it's both of them, I thought it was only Blacklock, but then I saw Daniel as well, so I'm like, yeah, I'm just gonna let them go. But yeah, not a great night for me.
Let's talk about a couple of other things here, mate. Obviously, trying your hand at the supercars, and that's great. But they're a difficult sort of beast to tame, aren't they? They're not the easiest car to master. How are you enjoying the challenge, though?
Oh, I love the car. Tonight I just couldn't get used to the this coda layout and being able to use track limits and stuff, and then I just never could get the car in the right window tonight. So honestly, all me. But yeah, it was fun. It was alright. It was good racing and stuff, and then yeah, I just had no clue what to do with strategy there at the end. So I called out to Dad to get him to come help, and he didn't help when I called out, and then he comes in after I went to the pits, telling me to pit. I'm like, I've already done that. So yeah.
A bit of congratulations coming in for Noah. Noah Kitcher was impressive tonight, and we are looking forward to going again next week at St. Petersburg. We've just had Daniel Yeaman drop by the commentary position, and we'll catch up with him in just a moment. There'll be some post-race discussions being had, no doubt. And I don't envy, I've said this before, I don't envy those that are reviewing the tape without live race control, based on what we saw in the early stages here. Bondi, the result, I mean, when we're looking at that, there was an interesting moment there where you had Andy Barber and Ryan Barber working in tandem, one in your split, one not. How difficult is that for you when you're trying to chase the target in one class and there's another equally as fast operator in the road that's in another class, a la not in your race?
It's definitely difficult, but really just drive it like if it's anyone else and just, yeah. Oh no, it's hard to describe. Tonight I wasn't there, so I'm just like, they can go do what they want. I just raced them all the same, so.
Interesting circuit, Coda, not everybody's cup of tea. Are you happy to see the back of it?
Yes and no. It was fun. It was a fun layout and all. I just lacked a lot of pace tonight, and I don't know where I could find any more pace. So, yeah, going back to the drawing board after that. But it was fun. For the little bit of racing I actually got to do, it was pretty good for racing.
Did you do a little bit of research before you went racing, Bondi, to find out how little enforcement of track limits there are here?
Nope. I realised that when I loaded into the server and I only had one thing for off-tracks, which I had a full 0x race until the last lap, where I picked one up. So I'm really annoyed at that as well. But yeah. Fair
call. Sam Blacklock, no interview for me tonight, too hungry. And I would imagine there would have been a bit of red mist in the belly of Sam Blacklock in the early part of that race as well. Good recovery though, mate, to come home just behind your teammate. No doubt slightly chuffed with himself, having been able to keep you at bay as well. We'll hear from Daniel Yeaman after we hear from Jeff Adams. But Bondi, last one, because with only three of you in here, we can wrap this up early, get everybody off earlier than usual, have a bit of an early mark. No one's going to complain about that. Some of us have got home and away to watch. Give us your thoughts on next week and St. Petersburg, please. New blank slate for everybody, should produce some lively racing.
As much as I enjoy St. Petersburg in this car, I have not tried that combo yet. So that'll be fun. It's going to be difficult with all the bumps and that, but should provide alright racing, I reckon. Bit of door banging, which is always nice. So looking forward to that, actually.
Yeah, looking forward to it. And it's sprint racing as well, mate. So 2 bites of the cherry.
Even better for me, even though I can't goddamn work those sprint races. But yeah.
You know what they say, practice makes perfect. You'll get better. Give it time.
What's that? Over a year and a half I've done GSRC and I still can't get it perfect, Zach. So,
Hey, don't worry. There's people
What
here that have been here a lot longer than you that still haven't been able to master it. So it is a niche, and hopefully you'll find something there in the not too distant future, mate. Let's be perfectly honest. You're finding some form in some of the other cars, so maybe sprint racing's the next little, bow in the cap for you to master. Very nicely done as always. Who do you want to thank?
Yeah, thank you, Zach. Thanks, Craig Bond Racing, Bond Motors Gunner Guy, South Gunner Guy Automotive, Gunner Guy Tilt Trades, Viewco, Karua Enterprises, Riverina Go Kart Centre, Wagga Kart Club, and GSRC for putting this on. I remembered to open my app to find my sponsors, so I didn't miss any this week.
Good boy. See, nailing another 1%. Look at you go. Excellent. It's a marathon, not a sprint, Bondi. So one step at a time. You've nailed that. Go well. Enjoy school tomorrow. We'll catch you tomorrow night.
Yeah, thanks, Zach. Enjoy home and away.
I will. Although, I'll be perfectly honest, I caught the first part of it before we went on air tonight. I was a bit more organised than usual. There he is, Craig Bond. Just means there's less of it to go back and watch at 10 o'clock rather than having to sit down for the full 20 minutes. Let's go to Jeff Adams. Jeff, good evening. Nicely done, I thought. I mean, the double, the Toyota, the Supercar, pretty evenly paced around here when you have a look. I mean, there was only, about 7-8 second time difference, but you've done 25 laps in one, 23 laps in the other. Technically, that race should have been 24 laps, but James Scott's thrown us all off with no pit stops, etc. He'll get the 45-second invoice that's coming his way after the fact, but it meant that we had to go 25. Were there any nerves within your camp with regards to fuel tank capacity when you realised that, hang on, we're going to have to be ready for an extra lap here?
Afternoon, Zach. Yeah, not really, actually. I learnt my lesson by making sure I actually overfuel the car. I'm not competitive enough to be worrying about a couple of litres here or there, so I had no dramas with the fuel. I was lucky in the sense that I had no dramas. But yeah, it was a eventful night. Unfortunately, I'm not sure if you caught it on the broadcast. Starting on the last lap, and I spin it on the last corner there. I was chasing down Ross, and he was. I saved some tyres. I stopped a bit later than him, and I had a bit more fresher tyres, and I was chasing him down. And then, yeah, there it is. Unfortunately,
there it is.
Just copped it off the wall. But yeah, that lost my chance to put any sort of attack on. Anyways, but yeah, no. Apart from that, yeah, I'm enjoying the car. It's definitely not my favourite track to be admitted. I definitely don't enjoy, especially this NASCAR layout. It's definitely a struggle to get around, but everybody's in the same boat.
They're taking the P1SS with the track limits here, aren't they?
Oh yeah, it's definitely. I'm sure you saw the 86 race. It was everybody all in for those with the track limits in that one. So you had to either do it because everyone else was doing it. So and if you didn't, you were way behind. So but in the V8s, obviously it was nobody was going off the track limits to an extent. There was some parts of the track that people were abusing, but yeah, if everybody's behaving, you gotta behave as well. So you can't, there's no advantage gained. So yeah, it's just a matter of trying to get this car around with all the undulations, with the being half on the red, half on the track, and getting over the curves. It was a bit of a monster tonight.
I described it earlier during the 86 race. We were watching you guys literally sit between the AstroTurf and the wrong side of the Ribble Strip. It's like you're using the bicycle lane on any main road in town.
Yeah, the car's small enough to fit in that little gap, so it was yeah. But like I said, everybody's sort of all in, so you got to either join in or lose it. So that was unfortunate. Like, I definitely would have preferred it just being policed by, like, the proper track limits, but I don't know if you can actually do that for this layout. I might be wrong there, but I don't know if you can actually pull track limits up on this one.
No, I don't think so. And Adam and I were having that discussion with regards that it may be one of those options that iRacing implements into their race service settings protocols in the years to come for any server setter to either tick or leave alone, and that would obviously bring with it a possibility to enforce some track limits. But obviously, if you're a NASCAR race, you wouldn't be ticking that box because you'd get hurled over the coals for it. Give us a little bit of an insight into what you thought of the 86 race as well, mate, because 2 top 10 results for you tonight, based on obviously class in the Supercar, but overall in the 86.
Yeah, kept my nose clean. That was really where it came, with those type of cars, and it's about staying out of the mess. And I was lucky enough to get a 0x on the first race, which was good, and the same for the V8s. The 86 race was pretty good. I enjoyed the driving. I'm just not on the pace of some of the guys right up the front, so yeah, I've definitely got some work to do to catch up to it.
Thoughts on how you might go about St. Petersburg next week, mate? It looks like it's going to be an interesting challenge for all and sundry. Great to have a new circuit to play with, though.
Yeah, not done many laps around it. I've put I think I did the Formula Ford around it, and I've done the 86 around it. But as for the V8, I haven't. It'll be fun, I reckon. I've got a feeling it'll probably put up same sort of driving as Belle Isle, or maybe even Chicago. Is it Chicago? That's the other newer
yeah,
sort
that's
of
the other street
NASCAR.
circuit. Yep.
Yeah, I think Chicago, V8s tend to lend themselves pretty good for those, as long as you keep them off the walls. The racing tends to be pretty good.
What's on your radar for the rest of the week, please?
What's today? Wednesday? What's tomorrow night? What are we
Formula
doing?
B and Porsches.
Yes. I might be able to turn up for both of those. I normally do my son's rock climbing that I do with him now, but I'm not sure I'll be able to make it. But the wife might help us out and take him tomorrow night. We'll have to wait and see how she feels and see how we go. But that is my duty, so I've got to take the muster when I can't do my races. But if I can, I'll definitely turn up.
The joys of obligations of parenthood, eh?
Oh mate, it's all right. We you can bitch and moan if you like, but it is what it is, and I get to do these things with my kids, and I enjoy spending time with my children. So I know some people would rather have some time to themselves, but to be honest, being a dad's great. So, and I love it. So, and I enjoy doing it, and like I've said many times on here, kids come first, and family comes first, and then everything else sort of second.
That's a good way to look at it, mate. And again, I guess you make a good point. We know so many families live in a, fractured sort of capacity. It's good that A, you get along with them, and B, you enjoy spending time with them. Not everybody's so lucky. Who would you like to thank while I've got you here, mate?
I just thank you guys for putting on the stream. Thanks, Mav. And thanks for putting everything on, and also shout out to Daniel Coruscant for putting on the paint for the V8. If you hadn't noticed the pretty little paint we've got on it, I must have I put some peer pressure on him to do one up for us tonight, and he was kind enough to do so. So yeah, I hope you like the paint. I certainly do. It turned out well.
It's amazing what a little bit of public, by which I mean in this broadcast on this channel this time last week, pressure does to kick one into gear. He responded very promptly. I like it. Very good work from Daniel Coruscant. He meant what he said. He stuck to his guns. He didn't turn up for the Supercars tonight.
Yeah, even with us trying to drag him into it, he just went to bed. He was over it. So he was like, I think he, like you said, stuck to his guns. But we tried to get him on there, but no luck.
One more question for you, and then I'm going to let you go. Dave Oliver standing by after we hear from Dan Yeaman, of course. But one more question, because I'm looking at Adam Lavis crunch the numbers at the moment, and if I go into the dev split, let me rattle off some results here for you so far. Didn't race the first week. 10th, 3rd, 1st, and obviously that 5th result tonight, mate. There's no set consistency to that. What's the difference week in, week out? I think Ryan Barber's probably going to end up in the lead at some point, but what's the secret to trying to catch Mitch Wood and Nathan Michael? Spins and other little mistakes aside, of course.
Just turn up. I think that's the biggest goal here, is turn up and take the points. Like, points go all the way down to the bottom now. You got to take every little bit with you. Try and keep your races clean. capitalise on all the points. You know, that's what's helped me in the past with my some of the championships that I've come home with. So, and I'll keep trying on that sort of stuff. Especially, you don't always have to be ultimately faster than everyone else. You just have to be clean, consistent, and keep turning up week in, week out. I'm definitely on the back foot, missing the super sprint with those. There was a lot of points on the put on the table on that that one race. So yeah, definitely missed out on those three. But it was a bit more punishing than missing, a 40-minute race or something like that. So, but yeah, I heard there is another super sprint later in the season. So I'll have to make sure I turn up to that. Yeah, I'll have to make sure I capitalise on all the points there. So yeah, that's the goal.
Very nicely done. Good to catch up with you, mate. Appreciate that. Go well. Enjoy tomorrow night. We'll catch up with you next time you're on track.
Thanks, Zach. Thanks, Matt. Thanks, everybody. Cheers. Have a good night. Yeah,
there he is. Jeff Adams does a great job around here on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club, and it's a nice juggling act, as we've detailed before. Busy in the real world with everything he does in his professional life. Then there's the personal element to it as a father, and then there's the enjoyment side, the leisurely side of his life, and that is when he goes racing here on the platforms of the GSRC, and he does it very well, as you see there. He's got a little good CV going. Porsche Open Cup champion, Formula Ford champion, 2 GT3 Pro-Am championships as well. Dave Oliver's here. We'll get to him in a moment. Hello, Daniel Yeaman. Bit of a role reversal. Monday night we were broadcasting side by side. Tonight you're out there in the thick of it. And I would sense that there's a nice little bit of satisfaction about the fact that you're able to keep your teammate and a former prominent regular champion in this caper on these platforms, Sam Blacklock, at bay for 40 minutes. Nice drive.
Well, thank you, Zach. I did have a bit of advantage this week in that I've been doing some other V8 racing elsewhere the past couple of weeks, and that series is following a very similar schedule to what we've got here. So it was just last night, so did a whole bunch of laps here at the Coda NASCAR West Config. Different setup, fixed setup series as well. So there was quite a handling change tonight with the V8, but I'm quite surprised at where my pace ended up being. I still feel like Sam was keeping something in reserve that he didn't need to tonight. I kind of be stunned if I had him for pace the entire night. There were definitely times he very nearly got to my rear bumper, but at the end of the day, with James not taking his CPS, and I think I heard you say something like a 45-second penalty will be applied post-race. P2 and a P3 for the two of us here are certainly a good night out.
Indeed it will be, mate. A very nice performance indeed. Tough invoice for James Scott. No denying the pace he brought to the table, though. He and Rit Kuznetsov took off very quickly, didn't they?
Yeah, no, they were the pace in qualifying, and whilst we were able to find some time towards the end of the session, that was still several tenths off. And then for good measure, even though I'd thought I'd got my handbrake mapped for the line lock off the start, I must have pressed the cancel rather than the confirm button when mapping that button. So I went to press it to queue up the line lock as the lights came on screen, and it wasn't there, so I had to do a manual clutch drop, which in this car is a very ineffective way to get this thing off the line. So unfortunately, no hope of making a bit of a half-hearted attempt at properly challenging into T1 to try and mix things up. So yeah, they had the chance to run free, and whilst one lap pace after a fresh set of tyres looked good, just they had the consistency underneath them to match the qualifying pace that they showed.
I'm going to tread into treacherous sort of territory right now, but I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't, right? Give me a gauge, give me an idea, because you would have no doubt been hearing from him in the Discord channel as the race was playing out. How dark, and we're talking colour shade here, how dark would the red mist have been descending upon the helmet of Sam Blacklock in the opening laps of that race, please? Caught up in a couple of incidents involving the same driver.
Look, in the moment, certainly it got a little grey. But at the same time, Sam's done this long enough that I think he knew what he needed to do. He was able to get back and stick with me. So that cleared up pretty quick. But yeah, I think he just a couple of moments there where he was sort of he was on the attack, but just caught out a little bit by the particulars of that incident. A bit of braking he wasn't expecting. into a corner with Jace in front of him was one of them that I've had a look at myself now after the race. So just, yeah, nothing much, but still has an effect. We'll see if that changes outcomes after the race, depending on what race controls say, and they get around to looking at things.
Indeed, and I was interested to learn from what you were saying there when we very first touched base with you in the post-race show here, that you've had a little bit of time to gel with the supercar in the recent past, because, and I only say that because Terry Marsh made a point of it during the broadcast. He chimed in on the comments section. He's still nursing an injured foot and hoping that that'll have healed by next week so he can be back out there with you guys. He said, I'm impressed with the pace of Yeaman because I know he's good in an open wheeler, but I didn't know that this is what he brought to the table in the supercars. And I immediately went into bat for you, and I was like, no, we've seen Yeaman in a wide variety of different vehicles. Yes, particularly prominent in open wheelers and the types, but it seems as though you're one of those more versatile operators, and you're gelling with the supercar. Just how difficult, compared to everything else you drive, and knowing how time limited you are because of your broadcast obligations and not to mention real world commitments as well, just how difficult is the supercar compared to every other thing that you drive?
Given what I've been driving of late is been, the open wheelers here at the club, and then just your average sports car driving in the GT categories, this is by far the hardest thing I've touched of recently, even though once upon a time LMP2s and a little bit like that also got a bit of seat time in them. But yeah, just the combination of a bigger, bulkier car with no driver aids and a lot of torque under the right foot does mean that, this is it's a complex car to handle. A lot of it comes down to the fact that our guys who are also busy with the V8 Pro Series when that's racing on Wednesday nights, they're putting in the work to really try and understand this thing as best they can and try and close the margins to the top runners in that series. And whilst, as Sam said in plenty of times with broadcast before, he's not really coming into these races with a lot of pre-race preparation, and he's generally using the server itself to do the prep. I've got that base of knowledge to work with, and quite literally, whilst I had some fixed setup series running, that car drove very differently and ate its tyres in a completely different way to what Sam's dock tonight had. So it was a matter of I had to work off the base he gave me and then just respect the car to make it last.
Seems like you're enjoying the challenge of learning this car, though.
It's one of those things where it's like I always said, like, I mean, I guess I don't mind giving it a whirl every now and again, but I was never expecting to be someone who'd ever get good at it in the absolute sense, because of the fact that just I've felt more comfortable, and it's easier to be more comfortable in sports cars and open wheelers from my perspective anyways, at least the stuff that of those disciplines that I've raced. But the boys, they want to see what I can do, so that's what we're here to do, and hopefully this isn't the only time on a Wednesday night we'll get a chance to run around. But so yeah, unfortunately, between work being what it is, and then if there are weeks where I can race but the rest of my guys can't race, I'm going to have to come up with something to be able to have any confidence and competence beyond what I'd be using the night before if the track stays the same in this other series.
Indeed. St. Petersburg, if the work schedule, permits you the opportunity to be home early enough to give that a crack, what are your thoughts?
Well, from everything I've seen and the bit of driving I have had a chance to do, pretty rough combo in a car like this. It's going to be a case of get as many moves done probably into the first and last corners as possible, because once we get up into that top section of the circuit, you can certainly have a crack at a move up there. You're also quite likely at risk of either being in the fence or run up to the fence around that part of the track. So going to be trickier than a track like this, even with a circuit with this back end of the Coda circuit being quite demanding on the tyres. Even if it's medium to low speed cornering, just you're in the court steer for so long that you can't really put power down, and you're having to really test your own patience as well as the cars. So I'll go in with an open mind, try and see if we can race that one, because that'll also be a fun one, because that's not the track that I'll have raced next Tuesday night if I do attend. So I'll be going in very blind all in all.
Indeed, and of course we'll probably have your company here on Monday night again for our Formula 3 GT3 doubleheader. Any other opportunities to go racing between now and then, though?
Looking like probably not. I also do have the next 2 days off work is nice. Back with them working very early on Saturday mornings,
Yes.
so that rules out. Staying up for the Gentleman's Endurance Championship on Friday. And then beyond that, there's nothing that I've been taking part in previously on this weekend. So outside of a very rare and unexpected Mountain Man appearance to just get some more laps in something, probably wait until next week to see what we're driving we can get done.
Indeed. You know the iRacing universe as well as anybody. There's been a couple of schools of thought. There's been a couple of discussions because, you know, we try and sit here and solve the world's problems whilst we're broadcasting, mate. Would you like to see iRacing give server admins a bit more leverage with regards to what they can and can't do? The obvious talking point tonight has been with regards to giving you the option to hit track limits on or off.
It's a good question. I mean, obviously, yeah, with this circuit and the NASCAR interpretation of what a track limit is, which is to say none except for the S's, does mean that, yeah, I can understand it does look a little silly when we're well past the curbs and the inside white lines at places around the tracks. So it's one of those things where I guess it would be interesting to see, but for me, it's a pretty low-level priority. There's a lot of things I'd like to see come our way in terms of full course, mainly full course yellow rules, race start procedures for rolling starts in the multi-class realm. I think those are slightly higher priority for me. And then other things would be stuff like what we do with tyres. You can limit tyre sets, but you can't go and reuse tyres after you take them off the car if you have a limited set configuration. So there's stuff like that I'd sort of like to see first before we worry about track limits. At the end of the day, this is how the track is raced in the real world, and as much as it looks a little silly, I also think that's part of sort of adapting to the challenge that this particular course configuration provides.
The only championship four-wheel variety that really clamps down on it, based on what I've been able to see, is Formula One. They're the only ones that really take a dim view with regards to, yes, these are the track limits and we're going to stick to it. We're going to implement it and legislate it, etc., etc. So if everybody else follows in Formula One's lead, maybe it's a discussion to be had at iRacing level to say, yes, if you want to run the Formula One track limit rules, there's your option to do so. If you want to run the NASCAR track limit options, there's your option to do so, because again, it makes it almost near on impossible for the club to have, and this was the reason it became a talking point, the club to have its interpretation of track limits if iRacing is going to give them something different.
Then there is that note there, yeah, where if leagues want to have a set of rules that is constant across every circuit, then yeah, I see. Obviously, of course, that's why we get into these discussions about like when you go to different tracks and how the limits apply. I mean, look, I get it, but when iRacing is going to have a system that awards incident points on a per track limit basis, unless that system is then reconfigured to also adapt to a server setting configuration and change at that level too, so that you don't have a disconnect between what the league wants and what iRacing is spitting out as incident points. Yeah, I think that's one of those ones where it's a tricky situation. And the leagues that do follow a stricter track limits interpretation, they have to either stick with it, and then you see drivers either take the risk and race the track as it's iRacing says you're allowed to race it, or they modify their rules. And in fact, actually, got another series coming to this circuit again tomorrow night, which typically runs a very strict track limit interpretation, and they've made the call that those outer white lines are going to be deemed the track limits here if any issues regarding passes, rejoins, and the like come into effect. But as you can see, like for example, through that penultimate turn, last turn just there, you can run it out. You can run it out all the way if you want. It's down to a matter of what time you lose by pushing so far. Is the only thing that iRacing cares about at the end of the day.
Indeed, very nicely done. Good to catch up with you, mate. Nice to see you back out there turning wheels in anger. Solid effort from you and Sam Blacklock tonight. I guess the only other thing I could maybe pick your brain about is the difference between you running the Chev and him running the Mustang. Is that a personal preference? Is there any noticeable distinct difference that leans you one way and him the other, or not?
It's very much a preference thing. My uncle used to work in the Fisherman's Bend engine factory for Holden before that was closed down in the years past, and so we've been the Lion family all the years that was a thing, and so that sort of rings on true even across the days. Although the irony being, the boys who know where I live love to know the fact that I live on Ford Street. Out of all of that there, so. Yeah, a bit of irony there. So at the end of the day, it's a personal preference thing. The only difference is engine note difference, and the fact that the Camaro's got that hump for the top of the LS motor under that bonnet is the only real things that matter at the end of the day.
Very nicely done. Who would you like to thank, my friend?
Yep, big thanks to the whole team at Logitech GODBM and our primary sponsors of Logitech G, and to Dan Hall at Logitech for helping arrange that one there alongside iLiveries and Revolution Race Gear. Rest of the team partners being Incosi Engineering Solutions, Hybrid Racing Simulations, the Fight Colorectal Cancer Campaign, and Sam himself as Sam Blacklock Media. And then to him again for getting out on track and actually encouraging me to come and have a steer with him tonight. Hopefully he enjoyed the company, even though I can claim bragging rights this week. Hopefully he remembers to pull his finger out next time we're both on track at the same time. And the rest of the boys back at the squad, whilst they've been, I think, having a bit more of a relaxed night, as it turns out. Big shout out to all of them for being part of the squad, and look forward to seeing how they go. I think V8 Pro is actually on next week, so unfortunately we'll be missing, as I said, our sort of effort here, as it were, whilst they tackle Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps of all things in a V8. So I think some of them are already peeling up on the inside for that one there. But nevertheless, they'll be up there. They're getting to work on that one there, and hopefully they'll all do well. But it means I might be a bit of a solo run.
Dan, anyone that did the double, or is doing the double, I should say, this season, as in they qualified for V8 Pro, they've also qualified to contest Porsche Pro. They're probably still recovering from the Porsche Pro round at Spa. Only a couple of weeks ago. Interesting in all of that, you are right, it is next week, and then there's a Porsche Pro round a fortnight after that, immediately followed by a Supercar round in the first week of June. So there are going to be a couple of weeks coming up, thick and fast, 3 and 4 actually, if you can believe that. So what's that, round 5, 7 and 8, in which those that are contesting either of those two championships or both will be MIA. So that will spice things up over the next few weeks. Thanks for stopping on by as always, mate. Appreciate that.
Yeah, big thanks, Zach, and thanks to Adam for helping make the Wednesday slot continue on. As just my final notes here, and of course to the rest of the club committee and club members for making this possible here. And good luck out on track, guys, and hopefully it's not in the comms box next Monday night. See some of you guys out on track next time.
Indeed, and if it's not in the comms box next Monday night, it might mean that you're in here on Wednesday nights. So we'll play that one by the ear and see how we go, see where we land. Good on you, mate. Go well. Enjoy the early start on Saturday.
Wish.
Don't worry, I'm right there with him. I've got an earlier start than I'd like on Saturday morning, but that's only because I'm out in Warwick this weekend. So if you're heading out to Morgan Park this weekend for the historic meeting, yes, apologies in advance. You've got to listen to me do the comms throughout the course of the weekend. Greg Heaney is here. Dave Oliver is here. I'm going Oliver first because Heaney's still muted and Oliver arrived first as well. So you'll just have to suck it up for a few extra minutes, Greg. I'll come to you in a moment. Dave Oliver, good evening. Nice to have you back. How was your experience across the ditch, please?
Hey guys, yeah, it was pretty good. I got to go shoot I actually missed Taupo, and I was actually in the South Island for a rally down in Dunedin, a rally at Targo. So yeah, missed the cyclone, the big cyclone weather system thing that didn't really hit that much. But yeah, and then I stuck around and went and shopped at Christchurch.
Is it true what they're all saying about that? Do they need a little bit of Tony Quinn-inspired financial TLC at that venue to bring it up to, well, standard? And by standard, I mean anything that isn't Winton.
It was interesting. Like the pits was very much like QR, old QR.
Yeah.
The rest of it reminded me very much of like a weird combo of Oran Park and just with like the viewing and stuff, and even with the crowd. It was very much like old school Oran Park, just because there isn't like massive areas for spectators, so it's kind of spread out along the track and stuff, so it was pretty cool. You know, obviously they could have done with a water truck around watering some of the dust areas there, which I'm actually very surprised they didn't, truthfully. That was a bit of an L to the track there, because like literally the poor crowd there was legitimately, like, if they weren't coughing up a kilo of dust at the end of each day, I don't know what. It was insane. It was like, you know, I was in that area for a little bit. I'm like, I thought I was at a racetrack, not at a rally. It was like, yeah, it was just pretty crazy just with the amount of dust.
So essentially what you're saying to me is, if you are an asthma sufferer, that's the last place you would have wanted to have been.
Yeah, pretty much.
Let's talk about your race out there, mate. We didn't actually see too much of you, to the point where I knew you were out there, but it still surprised me when you dropped into the booth, and I had to remind myself, oh, yes, he was out there. So was it a quite uneventful sort of 40-minute run for you?
Yeah, pretty much. Like, other than right up until about halfway when I pitted, I had Greg on my tail, and yeah, once the pit stops happened, it was pretty quiet there. I had a few elite guys come through, but yeah, I'm just trying to relearn these cars again and just try and just try and learn them properly. Like, obviously, a lot of the other Synergy guys are very quick in these things, and I used to be okay in the previous couple versions of the cars and stuff back in the day, but these things are tricky, and especially at this track, because you've got that big mixture of high speed, low speed. It's just like you try to get turn, and then you get oversteer, and then you try to dial that in, then you get understeer, and then it's just like it was just a bit of a pig of a car. But I kind of was able to I did a change to some braking and stuff right before the race, and it kind of worked out. So that's the thing I'm learning. It's especially coming from the GT3s, it's just a case of just trying to learn the braking and stuff, because if you hit that pressure point just that little bit too much, you lock the fronts up and you're gone, or you end up spinning and then you're drifting for the next 10 corners.
Not everybody's cup of tea either, this racetrack, as you mentioned, but there's more than one reason to that. But it's interesting you mentioned tyres. Tyre wear was pretty evident that tyre wear was pretty high around here.
Yeah, it was just a case of, like, if you're locked up and stuff, it just like snowballed. So I was like, especially in the race, and once it kind of settled down, then that first couple laps, it was just a case of just try and be smooth and stuff. Like, there were sections there when Greg would catch up 3/4 of a second, but then another part of the track I would kind of pull that back. So I just kept on yo-yoing back and forth, and you're just like you're on one of those just on a big elastic cord. So he would be stronger in some areas, and then I would be stronger in the others where he wasn't. So, and plus he did have a few guys behind him. I kind of had that just kind of little bubble of time there, but yeah, it's just a matter of just trying to just be really smooth with these. It's like you can't really completely mash it unless you're trying to go for a drift score, but that's why I ended up just pitting it halfway. So I kind of gone, okay, I knew what the tyres were kind of like to this point, so hopefully that should be a little better come the end of the race. So, and they kind of were. So yeah, it was in the end there was a big kind of buffer to definitely a big buffer to fifth in open, to the open car in front, and then I was a handful of seconds to the car behind. So it was just a matter of just trying to keep it on the island and then go from there. So
let me ask you this. Revolution E-Racing, Vermilion, Logitech, Orbit, Drop Bear, Motorsport all use this platform as an opportunity to keep match fit, get some race time, getting, you know, some mileage in between or V8 Pro rounds. Where's the Synergy Sim Racing stable spend their spare time, go racing and do their prep work for those rounds if it's not here? Because at the moment, you're a lone assassin out there.
Yeah, a bit of a lone assassin in a couple of the nights here. So it's just, I think, you know, they'll either just do their own stuff just in servers, or they might, you know, might go run elsewhere. But yeah, it's either that or, you know, like Hobbo, he goes and runs around in a dirt sprint car, and then that still somehow helps him. So, you know, some of those boys are actually, you know, mighty quick in a lot of the cars now. So, yeah, it's just, you know, it would be cool if we had a, you know, handful of the other Synergy boys over here. But you know, it is what it is, and then hopefully, you know, when clashes and stuff don't happen, or they want to come, hopefully they'll come over.
Hobbo's quick in anything though, and
he'll be quick in a shopping cart. So
no, it's ridiculous, and he'll tell you not to expect great things from him, and then he'll go out there and carve it up and tear it to shreds. That's
I think the power's in the beard, mate.
Exactly right. I've had a few people, you know, this is going completely off topic, railroading sideways. I've had a few people say to me in the past, why don't you keep the facial hair? Why don't you keep the, you know, growth? Why don't you grow it out, see how you go with it? Because, you know, I have the odd person, unfortunately it's mostly men, tell me it looks decent, you know, or it has potential. But I don't know how they do it. Like, I get too itchy, and yeah, it's just not for me. Maybe at one point where I'm not ever working in front of cameras or in front of people or emceeing, and I don't have to worry about looking so tidy and professional, maybe we can have that discussion.
That's why I hide behind one.
Yeah, but they do a good job. Do the likes of Hobbo. There's no doubt about that. Hey, let's straighten up. Obviously, a mix of real-world photography commitments coming up, as well as opportunities to go racing in the sim. Where are we next going to see you, please?
Most likely, I'll if I'm free tomorrow night, I'll jump in the Carrera Cup. Just trying to go again. Just trying to learn, just get a grip to the Porsche. Hence why I'm running the Porsche in the GT3s this season. It was more of a case of I've wanted to, like, the last handful of seasons, but I just wasn't really comfortable with it. So especially after missing the first two rounds, it was kind of like stuff it, you know, you may as well just for this season and see how it goes. I know obviously it had been quick, like the more OP car last season, sorry. But it was just more of a case of, you know, kind of been wanting to run it as something different, because, you know, I'm very much a front-engined guy with, you know, running the Beamer or the Ford and those kind of cars. I'm definitely more comfortable with those. But yeah, just trying to run in that and the Carrera Cup and stuff, because I hadn't really raced the new one. But yeah, then other than that, I'll probably just be running the GT3s and stuff, and then I think I've got some photo stuff coming up in the next couple of weeks. So
very nicely done. And I was disappointed to not hear Formula V included in your list of plans for tomorrow night as well, Dave. But that's another story. We'll worry about Formula V.
I'll see how I go. I'll see how I go, mate.
Good.
I'll cause some carnage.
Because the Nordschleife will be a test enough, but Formula V around the MIA loop of the Miami International Autodrome, I cannot wait for that. Very good stuff, mate. Nice to see you out there. St. Petersburg next week. Will we see you? What are your thoughts?
I'll have to see how I go, and see if I can, a bit like Dan, you know, try and find try and find a set. Legitimately, I just loaded up an iRacing base set and did a few tweaks and stuff, and guessed on a few clicks here and there, and somehow I didn't die that much. So yeah, I'll see how I go. Might have to go wrap the car in some bubble wrap and get ready for St. Petersburg.
All right, very nicely done. We're looking forward to St. Pete. A nice bit of real estate to play with for the first time. Makes it a fresh blank slate for everybody. So it'll be interesting to see who brings what to the table next week, knowing full well that it won't feature some of the heavyweights at the top of the field. It could well be the opportunity for someone like Noah Kitcher to step up and announce himself, maybe even somebody else to step up and be noticed and shine on the big stage. So looking forward to that next Wednesday night. Thank you, D. Oliver. Good to catch up with you, mate. Who would you like to thank?
Thank you guys for putting the broadcast on. You guys do an awesome job. Thanks to the Synergy boys and a few mates that were watching the stream. So yeah, thanks again, and I'll catch us out on track.
You will indeed. There he is, Dave Oliver for Synergy Sim Racing. Thank you, mate.
No worries. Catch up.
And last but by no means least, certainly not least, the main man at Whiskey Business Racing and the VP. He hasn't actually, he hasn't thrown that bit of bait out there yet, ladies and gentlemen, to use it as,
haven't I? I thought I had.
As privilege to get himself higher in the running order here. I was actually waiting for that. Hello, Greg Heaney. Nice to have you.
I'm not. I mean, you call me the C word all you want, but I'm not going to push in front of people that are here before me.
No, I reserve those C words for other people, as you well know. But we won't go into the list of who they are on air.
No, we can't do that on air. You'll get in trouble for sure.
No, big time. However, nice to have you here, mate. Let's catch up on a couple of things. Firstly, I thought it was an okay recovery from Luke Page. It didn't start well, that race for him, but he drove back through all right.
Yeah, to be honest, it was a good showing from everybody tonight. We did actually have 4 cars on track. I'm not sure if you caught the 4th one. It was a Mustang. There was a Mustang on the group. It was Mitch Wood.
So Woodsy has joined the WBR stable, right, eh?
Yeah, he hit me up. I hit him up a while ago and said, hey, would you like to come and drive for us? And he goes, he wasn't too sure, and it is what it is. And then after last week, he, on being on his own, he wasn't 100% sure as to what to do in regards to the safety car and the compulsory stop and so forth like that. So he's hit me up and sent me a message last Thursday and said, is that offer still open? I'm like, sure. It's like, I'll get your livery worked up for the Mustang over the weekend. So nice shiny new Mustang for Mitch, and I think if Luke King was also on track, I think he's going to jump. He's been in the Camaro because I hadn't painted the Mustang. I dare say he'll be switching over to the Mustang as well. So.
Hang on, where's Sean Dory at the moment? Because he'd be all over me like a cheap suit if I don't ask this question. Is the Supercar a pick and stick like GT3, Adam, or not?
Not really, because the cars are literally the same car but a different skin, as far as I
and they sound different.
Yeah, they got different sound files, and the handling and the chassis is basically the same. So there's no, unlike GD series where the cars have pros and cons in actual track performance, these ones are a parity series, so it's not as big of a deal.
All right, so there's the answer before the Canadian even asks the question. Yes, it's not pick and stick here, which is one of those things that I just never even really thought of until Greg mentioned that there might be a little bit of manoeuvring done between manufacturers within his stable over the course of the next 7 days. Let's have a look at some of those results, because Adam has crunched the numbers, so we can bring the points table up now to give everybody some context as to what we're going to chat with Greg about. The open split, the dev split at the moment, and there's been some change here, so we do have some breaking news. Round honours to Mitch Wood, 95 points. Second place to Nathan Michael, 93 points. And Jeff Adams, 91 points, third place. So, enlighten me, Adam, who's been promoted apart from Ryan Barber? Anybody? Just Ryan? Okay. For some reason, I was getting a misreading, obviously. I thought Jeff was fifth across the line, not fourth, that was all. So, yeah, no. Yeah, well, actually, yeah, hang on. Fourth for Ross Amor, 89. Jeff's managed to pip him on bonus points for 0x. Is that all he's pipped him on?
Yeah, but look at it. So Jeff's got a 0x, whereas Ryan's got 1. So Jeff would have got twice as many bonus points for the instant point bonus.
As Ross would have, yeah. So 91 played 89. Because I was like, yeah, I'm sure he finished fifth, and yet he's highlighted bronze. But no, that's exactly what it was. Thank you for that. Okay, so second, third, fourth, and fifth is actually second, third, fifth, and fourth on your screen there, ladies and gentlemen. So Ross Amor, 425, 48 clear of Jake Cowman. Greg Heaney up in a third spot at the moment, going nicely, 363. Good little bit of breathing space to play with there as well, G. Heaney. Over JD Dent, 303. Then it gets nice and tight between Nathan Michael, 270, and he was third tonight. And, of course, Jeff Adams on 266. Good gap then back to Dale Sharp. Ninth overall for Sharp in class tonight. Richard King, 219, and Martin Lipsky, 211. Adam Lavis confined to the commentary box at the moment on 198 points, but still in the top 10, so he's going beautifully. But yeah, let's have a chat about that. Greg, no surprise to see Ryan join Andy Barber up in the elite split for next week. Great result for Nathan Michael, solid result. I mean, maybe not necessarily the result you would have been hoping for down there in 10th, but there were a couple little moments along the way, and at least you got home and were able to bank the points.
Yeah, most definitely. No, definitely a good drive from Nathan and Luke with his recovery, and also Mitch with the taking home the gold for tonight. So he'll be happy with that. Yeah, it was battling around with Dave was good, and yeah, he was certainly right. I had a few strengths in spots where he was a little bit slower than me, but he had strengths in other spots where I didn't. I think in certain areas, I think I maybe had a little bit more confidence on the brakes, but I think that's all it was. And then there was other areas, but having a couple of the elite guys coming up behind me, and I'm like, I don't want to be battling them. I've got to be focused forwards, but I really don't want to have one of them nudge me the wrong way and send me out. And then when Dave went to the pits, I'm like, cool, I'll go one more lap. And then got to the top of the hill and stuffed up the braking zone, and it's like, well, that put pay to any gains that I might have gotten through Dave going to the pits a lap before me, and then me coming out with fresher tyres, and then potentially coming out with Dave after rejoining the circuit. But yeah, that put that to bed pretty quickly. But had a good little battle with Dale as well. Dale Sharp, he was out on track as well, so I had a good battle with him for a little bit, and then managed to get past him, and then I think I muffed it again, and he got past me again. But no, it was good drive. Happy to get it home with I think only one incident point tonight, so being that it's very hard to get off tracks around here, and I happen to find it.
Well, that's, yeah, exactly right. Everyone was talking about track limits tonight. There were one or two unlucky ones that happened to find the 1 point where they will hurl you over the coals and give you a slowdown, mate. Not many parts of the circuit were, of course,
there is a few spots
throughout the course of the evening.
There is a few spots that will give you a slowdown. I copped two of them. If you bite too much of turn one off, it'll slap you there.
Indeed.
So.
Here's one for you. There's I don't know whether this is official or this is a reel or a meme or something like that, but there is one report that I've just popped up on that has just popped up in my social media feed, where it has the US president and a photo of him, and it says, "Trump says his life was better before he became president." And the caption that was shared to the group page, in which is responsible for me seeing that post, said, "So was ours," which is fairly apt at the moment. To go on with World War III and the like looming. But anyway, let's press on here, mate. Coda, not everybody's cup of tea, but provided some great racing, some good entertainment tonight. I've screenshot the comment from Andy Barber as well, so I can send that to Bondi, because that'll be the first time and only time ever I think that Bondi will ever have a John Bower comparison thrown at him. He said Bondi's stang was about as wide as JB's EL, going back to the Dick Johnson racing days when he won the championship in 95, 90. Well, of course, they ran those Ford ELs 94, 95, I think it was. So, yeah, it was a fair compliment from Andy Barber to Bondi. And Bondi does do the defence stuff pretty well these days. There's no doubt about that. Rest of the stable, mate, obviously, you know, we can show everybody at home the elite standings now and update you on how Luke Page is sitting after that. He's 20 points behind Fitzy. He's probably lucky in the sense that Fitzy only managed 8th tonight. Luke was 11th. 6 points the difference there between the two of them. And therefore it means the championship lead is now 20. But he's still right there when the whips are cracking, just as he was this time last term, mate.
Yeah, he's doing well, and obviously being that there's a few of the real fast boys that managed to qualify for the pro invitationals and so forth like that. So the more that Luke stays on track, the closer he's going to be to the top of the pile at the end of the season. I know he was saying in the Discord after the race, he's like, oh, we'll count that as a drop round, but still with the 75 points coming home with that, it may not be a drop round yet, but we'll see what happens.
May not be, but we'll see. You saw the points on your screen there, folks. Blake Fitz 434, 414, Luke Page, Adam Hayne 401, and that was with 12 tonight, despite not qualifying, despite also jumping the start and driving through pit lane. James Scott's failure to complete a compulsory pit stop saw him shuffled down to 4th in the order. First for the round, therefore, goes to Rick Kuznetsov. First start for the season, 102 points, 95 for Dan Yeaman. And Sammy Blacklock, of course, 89 points, pipped to the post for the podium by 1 because James Scott got the bonus points for pole position, of course. So there you have it. And Andy and Ryan Barber, I find that absolutely fascinating that Andy's got 52 points on Ryan at the moment, but they are nose to tail in the point standings. They're 8th and 9th now that they have been shuffled on up into the elite split. And Barber, Andy that is, I should say, is only 16 points off James Scott, and he's dead even with Sam Blacklock at the moment. Really tight there, actually. 7 points covers Adam Hayne and James Scott, and then 16 between Scott, Blacklock and Barber at this point in time. Bondi holds on to 10th at the moment, 45 clear of Sam Cullen. Chev 1, 2, 3, 4, no one whinging and bitching and moaning about parity, but that's, you know, that's because of what Adam Lavis was just saying earlier about the eerily similar nature of the two cars on the iRacing server. JMR, Jace Douglas, Alex Dizikis, 791, plays Gremlin Motorsports, Andy and Ryan Barber, 704. Points, bragging rights, team bragging rights up for grabs firmly right now. 591 for Revolution and 582 for Whiskey Business. All but drop there on 566, even though Lockie Capel was absent tonight. Speaking of which, just want to go down the order there. Dane Snadden nowhere to be seen tonight either. So the 4 of you are out there. Greg, it could have been 5. We'll wait and see what St. Petersburg brings next week. As we said, good recovery from Luke Page. You were able to get to the finish line. Good recruitment of Mitch Wood. And yeah, that's pretty much all we really have to cover there as far as the WBR stable is concerned. I'm sure we've left somebody out in that countback, and I apologise. But let's have a chat about what's ahead. St. Petersburg's the next stop. Nathan Michael, of course, was the other one that we didn't mention just then. That's the road ahead, mate. Brands Hatch, we know that'll be interesting. We saw it in GT3 the other night. I wouldn't be surprised if we see rain again. St. Petersburg, of course, next week, next stop. Road Atlanta, Road America will offer up great racing because the nature of the racetrack. Detroit will offer the similar sort of carnage that we saw at Chicago because it's super sprint format and Bathurst is Bathurst. It's a difficult mongrel to tame. But we're looking forward to all of those immensely. I think Coda was the one that we're happy to tick off and move on from. St. Petersburg, unknown entity. Have you had a chance to go and have a steer around it yet?
I've turned some laps in a GT3, not yet in a supercar, just to get a feel for the track, and obviously because I know we're running it in the GT3s later in the season as well.
Yep.
So yeah, I thought I'd go and throw the Audi around there and see what it's like, and it's certainly going to be interesting. And echoing Dan's comments from earlier, you're going to want to be getting passing moves done into the first and last corners, and maybe into the right-hander at the end of the first straight after the first couple of corners. Can't tell. I can't remember if it would actually be turn 3 or turn 5, being in its American circuit. Who knows how they number their bloody corners. Take Road Atlanta as an example, or even Road America. There's apparently a corner in between the first and what would be second corner, even though it's a little bit of a kink in the road. But yeah, no. So there's a few spots where you could possibly get moves done in the middle part of the circuit, but yeah, the walls around St. Pete, I think they're actually narrower than the walls around Adelaide. So it's going to be interesting.
All right, very nicely done. We're looking forward to it immensely. Very excited about getting to St. Petersburg next week. Looking forward to seeing who rises to the occasion on that stage. Noting that we'll have a slightly depleted field with the Logitech G Pro Invitational round unfolding from Spa at the same time. Looking forward to seeing you back on track next week, Greg Heaney. Thank you for that, as always. Appreciate it. We know we'll see some of your teammates out there tomorrow night for the notorious Nordschleifer as well.
Yeah, and maybe Aiden too. I think I might have roped him back into the car. So
excellent.
We'll see how he goes.
All for it. It's been far too long between drinks for Aiden Luthwaite. All right, very nicely done. Thank you, Greg.
No worries. Thank you very much.
I think we're up to date. We've ticked the boxes. We've updated you on the Pro-Am points from GT3. We had to do that from the other night. We've done Formula 3. I think we've also been able to update you on the Toyotas and both splits of the supercars. So all that's left for me to do is thank the sponsors that make it possible for us to do what we do here on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. It's hard trying to think on the fly when you don't have a running script sitting in front of you. There's no paper. I'm just looking at a blank blue desk at the moment, just trying to think out loud. Hello to Ed Sheeran if he's tuning in for that reference. Trophi.AI, great to have them on board as far as their support of the Supercar Series is concerned. We also have merch.GSRC.in, the sponsor of the Toyota 86 Challenge. Flash Graphics, good on you, Johnny Simpson and crew. A big thanks also to Adam and his crew at Disruptive Labs. Good on you, Richo. And the crew at Waste Options as well. They are the people that support this magnificent club of ours. Go out and support them any which way you can. Dave Oliver's just departed as well. He's sticking around a little bit later. I thought he might have been sticking around for an off-air chat, but no, not the case. We're going to get out of here early tonight. Let's have a look at what comes your way on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club across Facebook and YouTube. There it is, ladies and gentlemen, tomorrow night. I like what you've done there, Adam. Very nicely done. 2 split broadcasts for you tomorrow night, ladies and gentlemen. Matt Schmidtke and I are here with you for Formula V. That is coming to you from the Miami International Autodrome from the MIA Loop. 3 sprint races, the journey there. 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 15 minutes. Invert top 10 for race 2. Invert top 15 for race 3. Numbers have been good so far this season. Racing has been red hot. Tomorrow night will be no different. Hopefully my mate here can snag a win because he was perilously close to Chapo, who was on fire last week. Let's be perfectly honest. And on that subject, actually, I need to open up those Formula V point standings because last week we had one of those situations where race control had to go and review the tape after the fact. But no, Chapo held on to his 3 wins despite Ryan Jones talking about being chopped off on the main straight there, and certainly it did look as though Jonesy had been chopped off, but race control have obviously reviewed it and said, no, fair play, play on. And Chapo leads that quite comfortably at the moment. 36 points the advantage over Braden Sagassa right now, Lockie Purvis sits third in the points race there. So those 1-9 boys are prominent at the moment. The Nürburgring Nordschleife, the home of the 24-hour, the Sim World equivalent has just wrapped up. The real world equivalent's just around the corner. 60 minutes to journey there tomorrow night for the Porsches. 8:45 Eastern Standard Time right here across Facebook and YouTube on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club, live, exclusive and free. That's, of course, 10:45 in New Zealand, 6:45 on the West Coast. The Circuit of Spa-Francorchamps is the venue on Friday night for 300 kilometres worth of Gentlemen's Endurance Championship racing. That will be from 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. The real world equivalent, 6 hours of Belgium for the World Endurance Championship. Saturday night, you'll see it on Stan Sport, race start 10 o'clock. And, of course, I don't think we're here Friday night, but there will be a wheel spin to determine the car of choice for the Mountain Men Extravaganza Saturday night. 200 kilometres to journey, 32 laps of Mount Panorama, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Then week 5 gets underway on Monday night. We've got a full broadcast ready to rock and roll for you at the moment. Dan Yeaman will be here alongside me, Circuit the Spa-Francorchamps. So we'll get another look at Spa on Monday night, this time for Wings and Slicks Waste Options Formula 3, 7:30 Eastern, a 30-minute race there. And then we go to Sandown for sprint racing from GT3 Pro and AM. The AM race will be first up, the Pro Am race second up. The broadcast time, 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. So around about 9 o'clock is when, or close enough to 9 o'clock, 5 to 9 is when that second feature race will be kicking in there. Committee's choice, how appropriate, the Skip Barber at Barber. Tuesday night, 2 sprint races, the Journey, the server opens at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And next Wednesday night, we've been detailing it in depth already, but there it is officially on your screen. The St. Petersburg Grand Prix circuit in St. Petersburg, Florida. So we're spending a bit of time in Florida of late, aren't we? I mean, the Miami International Autodrome, and we're just going up the road from Miami to St. Petersburg, and Florida again the venue next Wednesday night. 40 minutes to journey, 2 sprint races for the Supercars and a 40-minute hit out for the GSRC, merch.tgsrci.com, GR86 Challenge. With thanks to Toyota, that's 40 minutes there, 7:30 in the Supercars from 8:45. Any final thoughts from you, Adam Lavis?
Not really, but a decent note. It's one of those tracks everyone always complains about, but some good racing tonight, so it was good to see. It was good to see plenty of battles out there on track and some good results. And on to next week and see how we go.
Have a look at this idiot in the comments section. Craig Bond telling me to go to bed, and he's highlighted his username, tells me who he is, Craig Bond, and he's put his name in brackets. What a goose. In the comment there. Off you go, Bondy. School tomorrow. I don't have to set an alarm. You do. Ha ha. That'll do us on that note. Great racing tonight. Thank you to you, Adam Lavis, for your help. Thank you to you out there for tuning in and enjoying the ride with us. Thanks for your company. We hope you enjoyed it as much as we enjoyed bringing it to you. Plenty of great sport to look forward to tomorrow night, but we hope you'll join us here for Thursday night Motorsport, live, exclusive and free across Facebook and YouTube. As season 25 action on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club continues. Night 3 of week 4 of term 2 is done and dusted. James Scott was first across the line, but actually Bondy, have a look at his use of the word "your." The wrong "your." You need the apostrophe. It's YOU''RE. So I would think you've answered your own question there, Bondy. You're the goose, not me. And off you go. That is game, set, match as far as I'm concerned, ladies and gentlemen. Scotty was first across the line. Rick Kuznetsov inherited the win because he picked up a 45-second invoice for not transiting the lane. And that is one of those ones that'll, the bite on that one will sting a little bit harder than most. Hope you enjoyed it as much as we enjoyed bringing it to you. Great night of racing here, particularly in the Toyotas. A 3-way fight for line right honours there, won by Braden Sagassa. Benny Snell, the perennial bridesmaid, yet again. On behalf of Adam Lavis, the entire broadcast production and crew and team here, the commentary, broadcast and production team, I should say, if I can spit my English out correctly. I'm tired as well, not just Bondy. On behalf of all the crew here, I'm Zach Capen. We look forward to your company tomorrow night, and we hope you enjoy what's left of your Wednesday night, everybody, until 7:30 Eastern tomorrow night when we bring all the action from the Formula Vs. It's bye for now.